Sliwa, John Schaefer, and San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
Hi, San Diego and Southern California. What's going on? We're back on this Thursday afternoon. John and Alan, Schaefer and Sliwa. How are you, my friend? You've been running around all day.
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing good.
But we made it by 3 p.m.
Ready to go. I feel like my day is... You and I can now just relax and have a nice radio show.
I agree. How many times in your radio career have you missed your show?
Ooh,
As in, if you ever that's the one thing we have to do is be here in time for the show.
I got one for you.
You have one where
I got one
missed
for
the
you.
show.
So when I was doing the show in LA, I lived in Pasadena.
Right.
Pasadena to downtown Los Angeles is usually just a very therapeutic drive, right?
It's actually not that bad, right?
Oh, no,
seriously.
it's bad.
But distance?
No, distance 12 miles, nothing. Distance isn't bad.
Okay.
But it
but the actual drive can be a nightmare, you're saying?
Not even can be. Like, it's never not a nightmare, right?
So how long is that drive on a normal bad day?
Well, our show was at 10 a.m. So let's say we are getting to the office by 8:30. So I'm getting in at a bad time traffic-wise. So if I'm leaving at 7:45, it's taken me at least 45 minutes to go 12 miles.
Gotcha.
Okay. So one time I'm going and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not moving here. And I just kind of got on the freeway.
Right.
So I'm looking on Waze or whatever map I use
Red
Waze
everywhere.
And it's just like, there's just nothing. There's no update. It's just red. And I'm like, all right, I think I get out of it. You kind of look a little bit ahead. It's like, okay, that's where the accident is. Pasadena's got the 110 freeway. That 110 is like 2 lanes. So if something happens there, you ain't going anywhere.
Yep.
And even I'm just far enough from an exit to where I can't go back, whatever the case is. I didn't miss the show, but I told them I cannot make the show. I cannot make it into the office.
You went home?
And we're talking about, I was on the road for maybe an hour and a half of just I can't go anywhere.
Right.
And then found a way to exit, went home, and did it from home.
So you were able to do it though from home. That is a good ending.
Did the show, but I wasn't able to do it from the station.
I think I shared with you at some point in the last few weeks that I had no feel. My story also involves LA, of course. Why wouldn't it, to miss a show? I didn't have a feel that there's a lot of traffic in LA. Did you know that?
I say this all the time. It's one of the more peaceful drives you can take.
It's so nice.
So peaceful.
But on a Friday, I saw buddies on Thursday night from high school, and I'm like, oh, I'll just go back to San Diego. And we had a remote Friday downtown before a Padres game.
So you're going from LA to downtown
Los
San Diego?
Angeles. Yep. And it was Santa Monica to downtown on a Friday. Well, I'm like, oh, yeah, I could do brunch in LA.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, I could do brunch.
Got to have a brunch if you're in LA. You got a radio show coming up. Was the show at 3?
Show was at 3. I left LA at, let's say, 11 or 11:30.
Yeah.
I never made it. Did I make it, Brent, or did I miss the entire show? I made it, 5 o'clock? I made it at 5 o'clock. I left at 11 in the morning. Thank the Lord, our program director was Brian Long, who you and I, have known for forever. And he was understanding.
You went on the air at 5?
Jim was already on the air from downtown.
I'm just not going on. I'm just listen, because getting God at 5.
Well, I kept thinking though I was going to be there. I'm like, I'll be there at 3:10. But you know how the Waze, that's 3:15, 3:25, 3:40. I was so pot committed.
Oh man.
Anyway, we made it.
It's the worst feeling.
It is the worst feeling. Do you ever have the recurring nightmare of you're a broadcaster, but you're missing the broadcast?
I've had recurring nightmares that I didn't graduate college.
But did you?
I did.
San
Diego State University.
I think everyone's had this.
Yeah, I've had that before.
Have you had a recurring nightmare about this Padres season, which is about to get back underway?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, I'm ready for it to start again. I think it was a nice couple days off. And should I have a little bit more optimism in what's ahead of us? Or is there a reason for me to have, is there any justification for me to feel optimism about restarting the season?
Not according to ESPN's second half article that you shared with me earlier.
Yeah, that was bad.
That puts teams in tiers.
Mm-hmm.
And would the Padres be in the first tier? They would not.
Okay, wait, Brent, have you seen this article or no? Damn it, Brent. Stop doing research.
I know. Well,
Stop being
tiers?
prepared.
Are there 6 tiers, Alan? I didn't go beyond. Well, I just spoiled
it.
The Padres are in tier 5.
Yeah, I saw. I'm the same way. I just kind of went. I went to where the Padres were, and I didn't really look at anything else.
The last tier is 6. The Padres are in the 5th. They're the 23rd team mentioned.
Okay, but let me put how they have the tiers. Okay, they got the big four. They put the Dodgers, the Brewers, Tampa, and Atlanta. Interesting,
Is
right?
that the big four?
Yeah, I was going to say that's the big
I would
four.
put the big one as a tier.
Yep.
And then I would drop down.
And then tier 2 is largest threats to the big four. They put
Okay.
the Yankees, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Mariners. They put tier 3 contenders in the mix. We couldn't be a contender in the mix. We couldn't get to tier 3. All right, here's who they got in tier 3.
Aren't the Marlins in that?
But wait a minute here. I mean, these tier 3s aren't anything great. The Guardians or 5 games over 500. The White Sox are 5 games over 500. Miami's in there. Pittsburgh's 3 games over 500. We can't be where the Pittsburgh Pirates are.
Apparently not.
Cardinals are in there. Nationals, we have a better record than the Nationals.
Yeah. Not in that tier. Tier 4?
What don't they like about the San Diego Padres?
Maybe
tier 4, I don't think counts. Tier 4, I don't think counts.
It's all these American League teams.
It's basically the AL. It says tier 4 in it, thanks to the muddled AL. And then tier 5 is headed just to Goliaths with Arizona and San Diego.
Playing their way out of contention. Arizona's listed first, then San Diego. The team directly below San Diego, Alan, the 41 and 55 Athletics are paired in the same grouping of teams than the 48 and 48 Padres. So it goes back to your question that you asked 3 minutes ago. Should you have faith? Should you have hope? Is there reason for optimism based on what is being written about the Padres?
I think seeing any of that, I mean, obviously that portion of it, most people are talking about the Padres right now. Probably don't have something positive to say. I get it. I understand it. I mean, we'll have a little bit later in the show, we'll talk to Bob Nightingale and just to get his thoughts, his opinion, where the franchise is. Sometimes we get stuck. You're like, I don't know how you do it because
every day
you spend 14 hours a day talking San Diego Padres through all the different platforms that you're on, right?
You just get beat.
But you have a lens of it, one lens, and I like sometimes looking at a lens where they're paying attention to the entire league,
right?
And they're not seeing it every single day. I get caught up in this sometimes if I'm always doing Lakers content or something, right? But I think with that in mind, I could still have some optimism because I am a Padre fan, because they've actually played pretty decently over these last handful of years. Second half of the season, they've performed better in the first half of the season. I think that's even under Melvin. I think the two Mike Schilt years, I think 3 years in a row they've performed better in the second half of the season than they did in the first half. Maybe some of it is blind faith. Maybe some of it is hoping that there's a Pivetta situation. There's another pitcher that comes into play, but it might also just have to do with the fact, I swear, and I really mean this when I say it, that they won those 2 games in a row against Toronto. And that initially gives you like more optimism.
Here's my reason for optimism. It's solely based on their schedule. And I don't know if that's fool's gold or not, but they play one of the softer schedules in the sport. And here's the reason I would say.
What did we say, 27th?
Yeah, so the 4th easiest. They're 30. I think I have this right. I had Kevin Acey with me last night on YouTube, and I think he said this. I think they're 30 and 16 against teams under 500. That is a damn good record. And they're
30 and 16
against teams under. So, and they're playing a lot of teams under. Colorado,
that's a great sign.
San Francisco.
That's a great sign.
Now, was that damage done early? Did they do that in April when they started 19-9? And did they do that in May before the wheels fell off?
They clean up on the Rockies early and some of these other teams.
But if that were to continue, then they could find their way 8, plus games over 500. So that's my reason for optimism. And if they're actually going to be in it, Alan, like if they're not going to punt on their season and AJ Preller's going to make an addition or two, that's another reason to think that they could navigate the path.
Yeah, I think, all the content that's out there, and I try to consume a ton of it, whether it's some of the different work that you're doing or Darren and Marty or whatever the case is, right? Yeah. Just trying to consume the content. Every headline right now is, do they buy? Do they sell? Do they stay put?
You're right. That's
kind of been the conversation, it seems like, for the last couple of weeks. And the more we kind of just sit here, again, I don't think, we're asking the Padres to play a little bit more to their strengths. And I would say some of their strengths would be play some small ball, capitalize when you have opportunities, get that timely base hit when you need it. That's almost how I want the trade deadline to go for the Padres. I'm not looking for a home run.
That's interesting. Yeah.
This team has no slug and they don't hit home runs. We already know that. I don't need AJ Preller to go try to hit a 3-run homer with 2 on, right? Like, just I just want some marginal changes that you feel like can help you get to the postseason. If it's that one starting pitcher, and maybe it's not the big name, and maybe it didn't, it's not earth shattering. Give me effective. I don't need sexy. You and I've talked about, what do you want in the headlines? AJ Preller has been somebody that he makes sexy moves. I'm a boring guy. I'm pretty simple. Okay. I'm okay with boring and simple if it's effective. And I wonder how they approach this deadline from that perspective.
Right now, I agree with you. I don't need something really sexy for the 48-48 Padres. That's more of an offseason conversation, or you're a contender.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But at 48-48, I need something that is functional. And functional for me, and we'll talk to Bob Nightingale later, this team needs to find its way to the postseason. Otherwise, that's going to be very disappointing for Padres fans.
Can I give you some of those teams? What are you doing when we come back? You know, we're talking about the teams below 500.
Yeah.
They might have done some damage early on.
Okay. We're going to talk about that on the other side. Plus, do you have faith in the Padres with the second half about to get underway? What's your levels of optimism? You can hit us up on the talkback mic. Tell us if you have faith or not in the Padres with the second half about to get underway for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to see ZZ Top on August 4th in San Diego. All you need to do is tell us if you're going to keep the faith
Freaking
or not.
motto is keep the faith. You better have some damn faith, okay?
What's your level of faith? Open up the iHeartRadio app, search for 760, click the red talkback microphone. Tell us if you're keeping the faith or not with the second half about to get underway. Plus, Pete Grathoff covers the Royals for the Kansas City Star. Padres and Royals start the second half tomorrow against each other in KC. He'll join us at 3:30 on Schaefer and Sliwa. DraftKings is live in all 50 states. Yes, that means you, California. The Cup is down to its final matches. One trophy, one champion. DraftKings has you covered for every single one.
The DraftKings app is now live in California, so whether you're catching the early kickoff before work or the late match at the bar, you're in on every minute, every match, every moment, all in one app. Right here in California, the world's biggest stage is in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code SD760. Spend $5 to get $200 in total rewards over 21 days. That's code SD760.
In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim, issued in non-withdrawable predictions dollars that expire in 1 year. Ends July 19th. Terms dkng.co/predictions promo. So we just had a 10-minute conversation about being late. Alan's looking at me. Okay, we just had a 10-minute conversation. Has Alan ever been late for a show? He's like, no. And he's late for segment 2. Making coffee. What is this? Nobody drinks as much afternoon coffee.
I didn't
as
get
Alan
the brewing
Slewa.
time. I didn't get the brewing time. The brew is brewing as we speak.
How long does it typically take, start to finish?
It's a little bit of a process. It's a
3
little
to
bit of
5
process.
minutes?
Probably 3 minutes. Doesn't take that long.
You
Doesn't take
do
long.
love afternoon coffee. If you weren't working this job, would you be drinking coffee in the afternoon?
I get one cup of coffee in the afternoon.
If you're just around town,
Yeah, just a nice cup of coffee.
Saturday?
Oh yeah,
Out
definitely.
friends or family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coffee, I feel like it's not. Sometimes it's more the routine than it is the actual coffee.
Definitely. Yeah. We're so routine oriented.
So routine.
Yeah.
Stop by a nice coffee shop, see what kind of pastry they got. What are we working with here? Nice cup
Yeah.
of coffee with a little pastry.
You are that guy.
Could be a very Middle Eastern thing too.
No, I think it's just like humanistic that you get a routine and then you
stuck to
follow it through for
Yeah.
like ever.
Yeah.
It's like people do the same thing every morning they get up. Go to your phone.
How am I
Or
late? I looked. The on-air sign
you
wasn't
were
on.
very late. About 10 seconds. What were you going to share with me? Oh, stop.
Come on, man.
Speaking of routine, this is routine.
All right, I'm going to tell everybody real quick. So
Do
we
it.
have a
I'll fix it right now while you tell
we
me.
have like an outlet problem in our studio. So I solved the outlet problem, and I made our life a lot safer because now we don't have to trip over outlets in order for us to kind of come in and out of the studio. And every single day since I've repaired our outlet problem, you still have your outlet in what I like to call like a trip zone.
It's like a fire hazard where I keep it. You could trip, you could spill water, start
And if
fires.
you go down, if I'm coming this way and I go down, I'm hitting the
but
just
think
use this.
about
It's right here now.
think about your claim. Think about the cash.
I got 2 witnesses with me.
No doubt.
I
All
know
right.
you're going to be asking for a ungodly amount of percentage.
We're going to go to the phones in a second, 877-767-4760 if you want to weigh in. But you had a list of teams
So
that's somehow related to the Padres list.
you said the 4th easiest schedule
Yeah.
in Major League Baseball, the second half of the season, the Padres' 4th easiest
Right.
schedule. I think you gave the record, was it 30-16?
I think that's what Kevin told me last night.
30-16 teams below 500, I'm assuming. Is
I
that
think.
kind of the...
That's where I'm going to go with that. He either said 30-14 or 30-16.
That's awesome.
Dude, I hear a lot of numbers.
So we are not confirming anything that we just
They've
said.
been very good.
So you
Against
asked,
teams below.
is most of that damage early on?
Exactly.
I'll just give you some of the teams that they feasted on early on. Red Sox below 500, right?
They've won 9 straight, I think, to get to
damn.
500.
Okay,
they
so,
might be
all
still
right.
below.
Rockies, they feasted on. If you remember, they had that 4-game sweep against the Rockies here. They took 2 or 3 against the Angels. They took 2 or 3 again against Colorado. Just trying to see some more teams here that took 2 or 3 from the San Francisco Giants. They've
been better against these middling teams.
Yeah, 2 or 3 from Baltimore. I mean, it hasn't all been perfect, but they've taken advantage of some of that schedule. But I think if you're telling me that they performed that well against teams below 500, and they got the 4th easiest schedule left in Major League Baseball,
take your chances.
I think that's put it this way, it's not going to hurt them. I mean, if we're going to make such a big deal about them going through this 20-game stretch where they had the Braves and the Dodgers for 7 and the Cubbies and, Arizona, this critical set against Arizona, we should make a big deal of them hopefully being able to take advantage of their opponents in front of them.
Do you remember earlier this year when they were 19-9, and we'll get to Michael in one second, and we're like, man, they were really good in one-run games. Do you remember us saying that?
Yeah.
Like they were, you know what their record is right now in one-run games? 13-12. 10-1 at one point. Again, I'm making that up. But they were very good in one-run games, and they're no longer that team anymore.
Yeah, but they went through a stretch where, they were losing everything.
Everyone. Yeah, you're right.
It didn't matter how they lost. It was, I think of that first 3-game set they had against the Chicago Cubs recently at Wrigley.
Mm-hmm.
They're up 2-0, and you're watching a game like they should be up 5-0. They end up losing that game 3-2. Like they found every way to lose, or Was it the next day or 2 days later? They give up 23 runs.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
I mean, they have found the Padres don't have a problem of being very creative in ways of losing. So whether it's a one-run game or it's an ass kicking, they found ways to do.
They
that.
model their GM's creativity. All right, let's go to the phones because I think Michael has a trade scenario for the Padres. The deadline is approaching. If you want to weigh in, 877-767-4760. And Michael, welcome back to San Diego Sports 760.
Hi, John and Alan. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are having a great sunny day out there in San Diego.
You too, man.
I am keeping the faith. If the Padres can have a great week on the road and have a winning record, I'm going to put my general manager hat on, and I would call up Boston. And that's if we have a winning record over the next 3 teams. I would move Ethan Salas, Miguel Mendez, and Cruz Schoolcraft, but I would want Sonny Gray as a pitcher, Wilson Contreras at first, and Jaron Duran in left field. I feel we have our future catcher with Luis Camposano. And you know what? Why not go for it? Because I'm not sure if we're going to have a season next year. We might not see this team till 2028. So I think we got to go for it.
Appreciate it, man.
Michael,
Thanks for calling in.
you. I mean, that's once again going down the path of just mortgage for right now. And can you look at it like the team's never going to play again? Even though
let me tell you the teams who should be going all in. Okay,
Dodgers,
Milwaukee should go all in.
Tampa,
right? Like
yep.
Teams that are on the look. We might not be as talented as the teams
LA,
above them,
yep.
but we're in that conversation.
Yeah,
and the Milwaukee Brewers have also. It's like they've been in the play. If the San Diego Padres were sitting where the Brewers are sitting today, I wouldn't have a problem with him saying F the future, mortgage this, mortgage that. Just don't do that at 48 and 48. You just don't do that when you're a franchise that is basically scratching and clawing to get the final wild card spot in the NL with 3 or 4 teams already in front of you.
Boston's got a way easier path, by the way. They're a half game out of a playoff spot. And there's nobody between them and making the playoffs, where San Diego's 3.5 out and has multiple teams. So, by the way, Boston's 2 under, by the way. So they are still under 500. They've won 9 straight. So speaking of teams not punting, hypothetically speaking, Boston may be one of those teams not punting.
And I'll go back to, you can have the concept, forget the details of what he just said, but the concept of going all in on this team, like I said, I've said this a couple different times, and I'm sure we'll say it again as we get to the trade deadline. To me, it would just show an incredible level of desperation if you're still going all in based off what you've seen. Doesn't mean go work around the edges. Doesn't go mean can you find a starter to help you get to a time where potentially another starter comes back because he's on the IL. Like that stuff I'm okay with, but to go all in with this team sounds Hail Mary-ish.
I think a lot of people agree with you. Pete Gradhoff, he's a baseball writer for the Kansas City Star. Royals and Padres tomorrow, kicking off a 3-game series in KC. What's gone wrong with the Royals? Plus, will get us ready for the series and the upcoming trade deadline. Pete Gradhoff with the KC Star joins us next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Padres are off for one more day. They'll get back at it finally tomorrow when they start a weekend series at Kansas City against the Royals. In other baseball news, the league announced today that the 2027 All-Star Game will be held at Wrigley Field. This weekend, you can hear the final of the World Cup right here on San Diego Sports 760 on Sunday. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. Your logistics business moves fast. Is your team keeping up? Express Employment Professionals connects you with qualified talent fast. Express helps you hire smarter and stay productive. Visit expresspros.com for an Office Express Employment Professional. Respect people, impacting business.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Bonus Bucks giveaway. That's every hour, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Your next chance to win $1,000 coming up after 4 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760.
All right, so second half underway in Major League Baseball, but the Padres and Royals get underway tomorrow in KC. And it's great to have Pete Grathoff with us. He's a baseball writer for the Kansas City Star, and he's with us right now on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. So, Pete, we appreciate you taking a few minutes for us. And from the Royals' perspective, there were expectations heading into the year, correct? What has gone wrong for this Royals team that's now fallen 21 games under 500?
Just about everything, really. It's been a terrible season. They made the playoffs 2 years ago, beat the Orioles in the first round, and then lost in the ALDS in 4 games to the Yankees. Last year, they finished above 500. So the expectation was that they at least should be around that mark, not be the worst team or tied with the Angels for the worst record in the American League. But they've had a lot of injuries, especially their rotation. Losing their ace, Cole Reagans, was a tough thing. But their pitching overall has been awful. They lost their closer, Carlos Estevez, who I think he led American League in saves last year. He got hurt like the first weekend of the season, and the guy that they thought could be the future closer, Lucas Erceg, has just really struggled this season. So all that pitching, and then their hitting has been a whole other problem. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. I mean, last week they scored 15 against the Phillies, then 16 against the Mets the next day, and then scored 11 runs in 5 games. The latter is more how they've been this season.
Pete, I'm curious, you're obviously watching KC's going up against all the AL teams. Just every time we hear about the American League, we talk about, or we hear about just how mediocre it is. I think you can be 5-6 games over 500 and in a solid playoff position. What is the AL to you? I mean, is it more just even all the way around? Does it kind of keep the chances of coming out of the AL wide open? Are they just very top heavy? How do you describe the American League?
I would say top heavy. It's amazing that the Royals are this bad and they're 10 games out of a wild card spot. That part of that's expanded playoffs. You have 3 wild card teams, so that's really a big part of it. But the teams that are doing really well, the Yankees and the Rays, and they're really the top 2 teams. I mean, the American League Central, the White Sox, who were just awful for years, they're clearly better this year, but they're tied with the Guardians for the division lead. And the American League West, there's nobody's really broken out in that division either. So at this point, a lot can happen. There's still 2.5 months to go, but the Yankees and Rays are clearly the best teams in the AL, and the rest are either middling or really bad.
Pete Grathoff with us right now. He covers the Royals for the Kansas City Stars. So we talk all the time about what are the Padres going to do at the deadline, but they're in this no man's land, right? 48-48. Should they make a run for it or not? Kansas City knows who they are. Is there any balancing act going on for the Royals? It's not a full fire sale, right? They have one of the best players in the sport in Bobby Witt Jr. And like you said, as recently as last year, they were over 500. So is there any balancing act that plays out for them over the next couple of weeks?
I think so. I mean, they've got guys coming up on expiring contracts. It would be a shock if they didn't try to move. But I talked to one of their assistant GMs over the weekend, and they're really high on their core, which would be obviously Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best players. Michael Garcia, he's hurt. There's another reason why they've been struggling. A third baseman, but he was the MVP of the WBC. He was a Gold Glover last year. And then you have Vinny Pasquantino, who had over 100 RBIs last year. He's not doing very well. They'll keep those guys for sure. I would think, and Jack Caglione, who's young and is starting to show his power surge. He's really had a great last 6 weeks, and you saw what he can do at the home run derby. He only had 8 homers, but he had that 470-foot bomb into the upper deck in Philly. And so I think there are guys they'll trade if they can, but because I would think at this point they don't really think they're going to get back into contention, but they won't trade their core. So the Padres aren't going to get Bobby Witt Jr.
All right, we'll get that one out of the way. That was going to be my follow-up question there, Pete. Pete, just to kind of, for San Diegans out here, Padre fans, obviously getting ready for a 3-game set in KC. When the Royals are playing their best, what are they? And when they're struggling, what does that look like? I know you talked a little bit about their runs and inconsistencies, but just again, when they're playing well, what does that look like? And when they're struggling, what does it look like?
When they're playing well, they're moving runners. They're stringing hits together. The old motto, keep the line moving. That's a big thing in Kansas City. They got a few guys with some pop in their bat, but Salvador Perez is having a down year. He's barely above 200. He's starting to show his age a little bit. So when they're doing well, though, they're hitting the ball, they're getting a few home runs, and they're running the bases well. When they're not, they are leaving guys on, get 2 on with 1 out, and they can't score, or they'll make a dumb base running mistake and either caught stealing or picked off, and it just implodes the inning for them. And so it's interesting. Like I said, the offense can look good at times, but it's mostly been bad.
You go back, it's been a while, obviously, but Kansas City was in back-to-back World Series and they won it, as you know better than I do, in 2015. I guess they technically be the last quote-unquote small market winner. If you look at the last 10 years in baseball, I think the Royals are technically the last small market winner. As we look at the impending CBA and its impact on baseball and clubs like maybe the Padres and the Royals, truthfully, even though the Padres, I think, have invested at a higher clip than most clubs in their market size. Where do the Royals, fit in this equation? What do Royals fans want to see happen moving forward, considering their legacy, their history, their run in 2014 and 2015? What's best for the Royals moving forward?
Well, from a fan perspective, I don't know what it's like in San Diego, but there seems to be a groundswell of support for the salary cap. It's weird how, and I'm not advocating one way or another, but it's weird how suddenly the owners are the ones who are getting the fan backing, at least out here, I would say. And on the part of that is, you look at the Dodgers go out, they sign anyone they want. And the Royals, the GM just says, we know what we can do and what we can't do. And so there's certain players that are always going to be off the market for them. Now, they signed Bobby Witt Jr. to a long-term contract. Although that has an opt-out here in a few years. So money-wise, I think a cap would probably be what Kansas City fans want to see. Royals brass will never talk anything other than, hey, this is what the rules of baseball and we're following them. So I think they would like to have maybe a little more financial balance. And with that, though, Royals fans would also like to see a salary floor. There were a lot of years when they were not spending. So I think that's a good thing for baseball, as I inject my opinion. But I think fans would like to see that too.
Yeah, Pete, it's interesting because I think I share a similar sentiment, and I think we'll see how San Diegans feel about it. But I think there is a piece of, well, there's got to be some kind of guardrails, and I'm okay with that. If you told me that the bottom of the league has to come up as well, and there's kind of a happy medium here, and everybody's kind of working within a range, it just seems like an obvious for competitive balance purposes. But I do think it's kind of funny, like you said, the owners are looking like what are they? They're looking like saviors by saying, guys, for the love of the game, we know what the interest is from owners, and I'm not trying to pretend when I fight for a salary cap. I'm not trying to pretend that this is not obviously in benefit of owners, because they don't have to throw out $400, $500, $700 million deals anymore. And they also don't have to have potentially length of contracts that are 8, 9, 10 years. And if you go look at the San Diego Padres and their salaries that they have, there's some really bad contracts coming up here for the next handful of years.
Yeah, that's a great point. One other point that's Kansas City specific is the Royal Stadium is right next to the Chiefs Stadium. They're neighbors. And Kansas City fans just have to look at the Chiefs. Small market team. They've got the best player in the league, or one of the best in Mahomes, however you want to look at it. They've been to the Super Bowl 5 times in the last 8 years, won 3 of them. I mean, there's sustained success there. And you look at it, and you can point to the salary cap as a big reason for why that is. And so I think that you're going to get the big contracts, and a big difference between the NFL and baseball is you can get rid of a player on a big contract a lot easier than you can in baseball. You don't have to pay the full contract like you do in baseball. So I think from Kansas City perspective, they look at what the Chiefs are doing, that unbelievable successes, and why can't the Royals have the same kind of hope for that? Not that they would, but hope for that if there was such a thing in baseball.
It's interesting because I think you could argue both the Padres and the Royals have had disappointing years, but the Padres somehow are at 500. But some of the things you said about the Royals are what people are saying about the Padres as well. They've had starting pitching issues. They've had injuries. Their offense has been woeful at times, yet they've kept their head above water at 48-48. Pete, we appreciate you taking time for us. We're looking forward to this weekend in Kansas City, and thanks for doing it in San Diego.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, buddy.
Great stuff. Pete Granoff.
I just did a little bit of research here. How many professional sports championships does Kansas City have?
Across all sports ever?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. You're going to tell me real quick, and then we'll take a break. You're going to tell me that would include the Royals and the Chiefs. Is there anything else in their previous history?
No, I didn't just have those two. Yeah.
Because there's like the Kansas City A's and stuff. If we're going to say the Royals and the Chiefs.
What is it, AFL championship? None of that.
Well, the Chiefs, did they win any of the first 3 Super Bowls with that dude that was always talking on the sidelines? Okay, they have 3 titles. And then the Royals have at least 2 titles because they have a George Brett team. And I'll say 5.
It's so so hurtful.
When did they have 5?
We just want 1.
How many do they have?
They have 6.
So 3 with the Royals?
I think they won a Super Bowl in 70. Then 2020, 2023, and 2024.
Okay.
The Royals have 2 World Series, one in 85, one in 2015. I want to throw my headphones as far as I possibly can.
They have 6 in Kansas City. The
fact that Kansas City has 6, and when he just said, seems like a really nice guy, I don't know him, but when he said, our Royals stadium is right next to our NFL stadium, I just wanted to hallucinate. That is the model of San Diego. That would have been the model of San Diego. Now, I didn't care. They didn't need to have it in downtown.
Well, the caveat is
in Mission Valley.
The Chiefs are moving to Missouri. So that's official. They're leaving Arrowhead. I think it's already, the Arrowhead's been around for forever. So that is changing.
But that is their
It's been
team,
there for forever.
But that is their team, period. Right?
Yeah, it's their team.
The Chargers went to Los Angeles.
Yeah. I don't even know. Is Kansas City in Missouri or is Kansas City? It is, right?
It's in Missouri.
They're leaving, though. The Chiefs are going elsewhere. So, right next door.
They have 6.
6 is a lot. All right.
6.
How about this? Do you want an update on LeBron James? Because he doesn't have 6 titles, but we'll give you an update on LeBron James and his free agency. That's next. Schiffer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. Live performances by the Goo Goo Dolls, Kenny Chesney, Lainey Wilson, Snoop Dogg, Weezer, and more. September 18th and 19th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Now's your chance to buy tickets at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out.
All right, we're going to hear from Shams again on LeBron's future, but let's go back to the phones. We have time for LeBron's future because we still
we'll stay on the Padre front.
We still
here.
need answers on LeBron. It's going to play out over years. His future.
By the way, everything you were just searching in the break, I'm hallucinating.
We're going to talk about that too. We got plenty of time. 877-767-476. Let's go back to Dave, who wants to weigh in. Dave, you're on with Schaefer and Sliwa.
Well, listen, guys, I'm still trying to figure out and stop laughing about the Red Sox somehow going to give up 3 of their frontline players for the Padres' bag of rocks. I don't quite understand that one, but be that as it may. So let me get this straight. We have how many teams that are sellers? We're down to about potentially 5. Is that right? Thereabouts?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I think probably the same thing with the Padres. Let's give a couple of weeks and see what happens. Yep.
Yeah. So right now in the mix, there's about 5 or 6.
Yep.
Every other team is potentially a buyer. Every one of those teams needs pitchers. So let's do the math on this real quick. That's probably about 20 pitchers that you're going to have to identify. In a perfect world, if they were to get their acquisitions and needs filled, including the Padres, which need 3, where do all these pitchers come from? Where do they come from? And this is the insane part of this conversation that we have on a daily basis about the trade deadline. The trade deadline reflects whether or not a team has been somewhat successful in their off season. And in the Padres case, I think we can say for various reasons, we know they weren't. And so they find themselves in this dearth of a mess with their pitching staff with very little choices out there other than another temporary grab at the recycle bin. That's where we're at right now, boys.
Yeah, but Dave, and we appreciate you calling. Can I just say this, John? I think that, the problem with the pitching staff is, could they have, let me simplify this here. Are they the same team if Nick Pivetta is there all season?
No, they'd be better.
Did they anticipate that there's a chance Joe Musgrove would be pitching? And I'm not trying to make, because I don't want to make too many excuses for the Padres, but we asked them to go out there and go get Lucas Giolito. They did. You never had Nick Pivetta have an opportunity to have an impact on this season. Everyone was raving about how Randy Vasquez was looking in the first part of the season. Yeah. They've also had guys that have just completely fallen apart. So I don't know what they're going to do. And their pitching staff is clearly the biggest issue that they have. And to say that today, when earlier in the season, it was like every day we spent so much time on the bats, and now they don't have a starting rotation. And then Walker Buehler has a portion of the season where he's pitching well. And now all the pressure's on Walker Buehler and he comes back down to reality. It's almost, we've given this analogy how many different times. You plug one hole and 2 more holes in the boat.
Yeah, I mean, and the problem also, to Dave's point, is pitching is going to be at a premium. The point is valid. So to go get even mid-tier starting pitching could be very costly. It's like going to a hotel. If there's 1 room available, it's more expensive. Like if there's 100 rooms available at the San Diego Hilton, I don't know if that's a good example or not. You know what I mean? I mean, you're paying a premium because of other teams' needs. I do buy that. Starting pitching, of course, is at a premium. It always is going to be at a premium. So now you're outbidding teams for competent starting pitching. Are you willing to do that against teams that are further along in terms of competing or contending this year than you are? So it is interesting.
Are you more desperate for that starting pitching than they are?
They may be, but do they have the actual bullets, so to speak? Yeah, I don't know if they do or not. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, they've had some things work against them. That's part of it. The Pivetta thing's huge.
But that's the only thing. The only point that I took away, Dave mentioned that I think there's a lot of people that look at the Padres off seasons like, why aren't you guys more active, or why aren't you making more moves in the off season? Part of it is because their payroll's already so ballooned before anything even starts. That's number one. The second part, it's like, think about it. Michael King came back. We didn't think Michael King was coming back. Now, he came back basically on a 3-year deal, but it's really a 1-year deal. You couldn't anticipate Nick Pivetta going down that early and having the injury that he's having. Part of them have had a little bit of bad luck in this process.
Yeah, and it's part of it. I know we spent time this offseason saying they need more starting pitching, but I think most teams probably said this offseason they need more starting pitching. Yeah. The truth is, to your point, the starting pitching is underperformed, and the offense has underperformed. Even if you just look at it on its face, even if you didn't have high expectations, the offense has been anemic and the starting pitching has been awful. I think their record should be more like the Royals, truthfully, when we talk about them. The Royals are 20 games under 500, and what their beat writer is telling us is their offense sucks and their starting pitching sucks. Yet all we say, our listeners and Padres fans, the offense sucks and the starting pitching sucks. How on earth are they 48 and 48? So is that encouraging or not? I don't know if it is or not for the second half of the year. Does that give you hope that they could actually make something of it, considering everything that's played out and they're still at 500? I don't know.
I'm taking the AFL championship.
So how did we get there? What were we even talking about? Seriously, how did we get there? You said how many championships does Kansas City have?
Yeah, because he was throwing in, both stadiums are right next to each other. You kept mentioning, look at the success Kansas City's had in 2014, 2015. And I immediately get jealous.
Well, then you would be jealous of every American city.
I am jealous of every American city.
Right?
But there's a ranking.
Name me an American city that doesn't have a championship.
We talked about it.
Other than San Diego.
Why is San Diego on the front of that list? What was the list that you looked at? It's the biggest city
because Buffalo and Nashville and Charlotte are not bigger than San Diego. Mm-hmm. Now they have more teams. Buffalo's got 2, Sabres and Bills. Charlotte has, what does Charlotte have right now? They have the NBA and they have the Panthers. Mm-hmm. Nashville has the Titans and the Predators. They have 2. Then teams that have 1 or cities that have 1, Memphis has their NBA team and Jacksonville has their NFL team. Those teams are quote unquote, or those cities are titleless.
Can you imagine what we would do to have one of Kansas City's championships?
I want to talk about this on the other side. Imagine if San Diego, though, had Padres, Bills, like Sabres, Hornets, or whatever. Like you have all, but none of them have ever won.
Why?
You have them
by
all,
the way,
but none of them
but
have
why,
ever won.
Why do that? Why are you going there? You can just go Chargers and Clippers.
That's true. That's true.
Who are already here.
Already here. All right. Hour 2 on the other side. Bob Nightingale, USA Today, will join us at 4:30 with more on the Padres and the deadline coming up. Hour 2, Schaefer and Sliwa coming up next on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
Their support is sponsored by Taco Bell. The Padres are off today, but they're finally back at it tomorrow. They'll start a weekend series at Kansas City when they face the Royals. In other baseball news, the league announced today that the 2027 All-Star Game will be at Wrigley Field in Chicago. You can hear the final of the World Cup right here on San Diego Sports 760 this Sunday, beginning at 11:30. Experience the new $3 pepper jack steak burrito in the decadent melt or crisp fresca. Now one of 10 items for $3 or less in the new Lux Value menu. For a limited time at participating stores while supplies last. Prices vary, tax extra.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer and San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Your Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, hour 2 here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Bob Nightingale, USA Today. He's been writing on baseball for a long, long time. He will join us coming up at 4:30. Thoughts on the pods, deadline, labor.
Yeah.
Nothing like a good labor talk. And there'll be a lot of labor talk.
Big deal.
With baseball.
It's a big deal.
The schedule has come out for 2027.
Why help me understand that.
Like, is it a little early for that, are you saying?
Brother.
Like, the NBA doesn't put out their schedule the year before, do they?
No, and maybe this just kind of has to do with, like, everyone tries. Like the NFL, which I think is the most interesting, can say, hey, we're going to slowly release the schedule.
Yeah.
We're going to show you what the first game is. We're going to show you what the first Sunday night game is, Monday night. Like that, I get.
The trickle.
Here, they're going to be the matchups, everything else. NBA will do it in August. So the NBA will still kind of try to, it's really smart what the NBA has done, right? The season ends.
Agency, right?
Season ends, you go through the championship, and then maybe a week later is the NBA draft. Maybe a week later is free agency.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 weeks later, LeBron makes a decision.
17.
But then you release your schedule in like mid-August or that first week. It's Christmas this.
But that's smart because they're waiting. Like if LeBron goes to Miami, it impacts the schedule.
Actually,
if he goes to Cleveland.
I read something this morning that the NBA scheduling is also waiting on LeBron
exactly
to determine what they're going to be doing.
That makes sense to me.
MLB put out their schedule.
There you go.
At the All-Star game a year down the road. Now, could they just say, well, what do you want us to do? They're going to be playing the same teams anyways.
162 games.
Could it be that? But why not do it in December?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. Like that's the one thing we've always said about baseball. The marketing plan, sometimes you're just like, huh?
What marketing plan?
Yeah, like free agency. Free agency is a perfect example. It's like, it just plays out over months. Like in the NBA, it's such a big topic. Even if there's not a ton of movement, like this year, it's not like every name in the NBA is a free agent, but the LeBron story is massive.
Yeah.
But in the major leagues, it's like, there's the winter meetings, but the best player might not sign until March 1st. It's very odd, is what I would say.
I'll say this though: if they do it now, they have nothing to compete with. If they do it in December, they're going to have NFL news every week that they'll have to compete with. And like right now, even, with World Cup going on, we got this 3-day gap between games to where there's been nothing going on.
Think about this. They're in the middle of their season and they're releasing the schedule for next April.
March.
I get what you mean by you get a little bit of pocket by yourself, but
I like what you're saying. I think I would do it in the offseason. And I think they used to do it in the offseason, but I think they've moved it up for whatever reason. We're going to hear, by the way, from Shams on LeBron because we've had daily updates on LeBron's future, and you'll hear that coming up. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Are you shocked the U.S. was eliminated in the round of 16 of the World Cup?
So here's the backstory on this. If you go to ESPN right now, there's a couple different articles in regards to that. And one of the articles is, if I got this right, the team captain, Tim Riem, was in, quote, shock at the poor showing in the World Cup exit. And supposedly the locker room was in disbelief. He was on the Pat McAfee show. Let me tell you, if I told you here are the 10 things that I take away from the World Cup, what would not make my top 10 list is the United States didn't get past the round 16 against Belgium. No, I'm not shocked. The shock would have been they beat Belgium, they got out of the round of 16, and they put themselves a game away from getting to the Final Four.
Yeah,
That would be a shock to me.
Yeah.
Not this.
It wasn't shocking, especially when I watched the way that they played. I mean, it was almost shocking that they were in the round of 16 based on the way that they played in that round. I mean, Belgium was clearly superior. It felt like you could play the match 10 times. They weren't going to win. The U.S. didn't feel like they were going to win any of them. So I don't find that to be a shocking result at all. If anything, I'm discouraged on their future. So I'm like, well, if this is the best you can do on home soil with these circumstances, are you going to be better positioned when you go to like Portugal and Spain in 4 years? So I was just discouraged by it, but no, I wasn't shocked by it. Next question.
Which Padres player are you most confident in for the second half of the season?
I think I'm going to roll with Toddy. Keep going with Tatis.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the first, month and a half of the season, the only conversation about Tatis was not hitting a home run.
Yep.
And I'm not sitting here trying to tell you he's going to end up with 20 or 25 because I don't think that's going to happen. But he's been effective. He impacts games. He does it with his glove. He does it on the base. He can change the scope of a game from stealing a base. He can change the scope of a game by just getting on. Tatis, I got the most confidence in.
Mason Miller is my answer. Now, I'm not confident he'll be here, but I think he will.
You're not confident he'll be here?
I think he will.
I'm confident he'll be here.
Are you like 100% confident?
I'm 98% sure.
Okay, you're pretty confident. I think he'll be here as well, and he's the player I have the most confidence in because I should knock on wood every time I say it, but he hasn't blown a save, and that's a big reason why they're 48 and 48. Because if you just have a good closer and he's got 3 blown saves, then you're 6 games under 500 because you're turning 3 wins into 3 losses. He's the reason they're 48 and 48.
If I took Mason Miller out, who are you most confident in? Okay, no, how about this?
Like
how about this? Give me a bat. Yeah, give me a bad position player.
I think all of it is a dangerous assignment, but I would choose between Tatis and Machado as well. I think Tatis has been way better in the last 6 or 8 weeks. I think Machado's last 30 games, he's been awesome. Mm-hmm. So because you said Toddy, I'll take my chances.
Go with Machado.
I'll take my chances.
I like that.
Position player.
Look at us with this.
Mason Miller,
unbelievable.
Mason Miller. Next question.
Does the 2027 Major League Baseball schedule coming out give you confidence for next season?
Like there'll be a year?
Yeah, I don't tie it together. I think a lot of people are trying to put the two together. And look, Major League Baseball is so confident that they're going to figure this stuff out between the players and the and the owners.
Right.
They're releasing the schedule out this far. They're going to continue to operate as business as usual. And they'll do that as you get into October, November, December, January, until they're like, hey, I think we're going to have to start canceling some games or spring training or push back when pitchers and catchers report. So I don't think the schedule coming out 7 years early is going to impact. It doesn't give me any more confidence.
I'll say this about the schedule. I think it is very dumb that Major League Baseball over the last decade has moved up their opening day 10 days. And this is why they've done it. By the way, the official ending of winter in the world is March 20th. And opening day is March 24th. If you've ever been to Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, Boston, the list goes on, you don't want to be anywhere near them that time of year. And the only reason they're doing this.
Why is it now March 24th, or what is it
There's
now?
more off days. They've manufactured more off days. The union has asked for it. They don't want the postseason ending in November. I get it.
And they refuse to play less games, even though everybody thinks you need to play less games.
They will not play less games because of the money. So they just keep moving it up, and they keep adding off days, and they make the All-Star break a day longer. But at the end of the day, it's like you're opening a baseball season March 24th in Chicago. You can't play all the games in warm weather cities. It's not possible.
Right.
It's just not. And even if it's April 1st, Chicago, all these places, it's just
what's the right amount of games in baseball?
I mean, they played 154 and then expanded from there in 61. So if nothing else, you should be going back to 154, which is the way it used to be. But I would probably argue like today for like 140 or 144.
Yeah, I'm 140.
It's AAA.
I like 140.
140.
Solid schedule there at 140.
And is there a reason not to do it anymore now that nobody even considers the home run records like real? Like we used to hold these things with such high regard.
It's all gone. Yeah,
that's all gone. I think you just play 140 games and be done with it. By the way, the NHL real quick went from 82 to 84. They just announced their schedule. They added 2 games.
NHL did?
Just went from 82 to 84.
Don't give the NBA any ideas.
I know. Next question.
Is LeBron a marketing genius?
You and I, let me just say this, and I'm going to kind of roundabout way again in my answer. Brent, we're sitting here. You got one of the games on. It's Philly and the Mets.
Yep.
And we saw that there was a question. I guess Bryce Harper was mic'd up. One of the questions to Bryce Harper was
from a fan that was asked by the commentators, what's your pitch to LeBron James to come to the Sixers? By the way, I saw his answer.
What was his answer?
It was...
Here, you figure out what the answer is.
Yeah.
I'm wildly annoyed with the LeBron James stuff. We've been mocking it for a week and a half, 2 weeks, why this guy can't make a decision. Right. Is there a method to the madness? There is. If the question is he a marketing genius? Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I think there's certain people. If I'd say in our industry, Stephen A. Smith,
of course, Pat McAfee
knows how to market himself. Pat McAfee knows how to market himself. There's people, I'm like, I cannot stand this person, that person. They're good at marketing themselves.
That's a good point.
They find a way for you to talk about them.
Bryce Harper saying tonight on this national broadcast, this is the only game in the country on ESPN between the Phillies and the Mets. Bryce Harper saying while mic'd up, he believes LeBron will go to the Cavs. So I don't know what his pitch was to the Sixers, but he said on the broadcast he believes LeBron will end up in Cleveland with the Cavs. Could it be Cleveland or Philadelphia, or could it be somewhere else? Because you're going to hear from a league executive on the other side.
Okay.
And that could lead you down a path for another possible landing spot for LeBron James. Plus, Shams has the latest that we'll share with you. And Bob Nightingale will join us at 4:30 with more on the Padres at the trade deadline here on Schaefer and Sliwa. San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. DraftKings is live in all 50 states. Yes, that means you, California. The Cup is down to its final matches. One trophy, one champion. DraftKings has you covered for every single one.
The DraftKings app is now live in California, so whether you're catching the early kickoff before work or the late match at the bar, you're in on every minute, every match, every moment, all in one app right here in California, the world's biggest stage. It's in the palm of your hand. New DraftKings customers sign up with the code SD760. Spend $5, get $200 in total rewards. Over 21 days, that's code SD760.
In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Event trading offered by DraftKings Predictions, a CFTC registered introducing broker. Trading involves risk of loss. Market availability varies. Eligibility restrictions apply. $50 every 7 days via click to claim. Issued in non-withdrawable predictions dollars that expire in 1 year. Ends July 19th. Terms dkng.co/predictions promo.
All right, you can hear the World Cup final right here on San Diego Sports 760 this Sunday. Pre-match coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. By the way, we are also carrying the third place matchup between France and England. It's going to be on Saturday.
How are you treating that? If you're in charge, you're the GM of France. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you like, yo, Mbappe's playing? He's playing 75 minutes. Okay, so. Or no?
I'm just assuming that this guy is like, yeah, I'm thank
out.
you for your time. How's Mbappe going to be playing for a third place? Like, it's a guy that's won a World Cup. He was in the finals last year or last World Cup as well.
He has his
one of the best players in the world. Got the club that
he
represents, and you want him to come back and play for a third place.
Are you surprised there's not, like in other sports, there's so much pressure. WBC is a good example. They're like, hey, don't use our pitchers in this way. Hey, we got these pitching rules and let's be very careful and let's coordinate with the clubs.
Not for this.
And this is just like, just go all out, right? Which I respect.
I actually genuinely don't know this. Do they get paid?
Yeah, I think they get paid to win it, don't they?
It's just for that?
I don't know. World Cup, what would that be called? Like a purse?
Brother, do you know how? Imagine this. The revenue that FIFA's bringing in, the amount of money they're getting on ticket sales, merchandise. They got 48 countries now involved, the TV rights, the sponsors, all that. And you don't have to pay the players?
They do, though. So
how much they pay?
This is
they
the biggest.
Like,
they pay $871 million. The winner gets 50. The runners up get 33 million. Third place 29, fourth 27, and so quarterfinals 19. Round of 16 15. So I don't know how that gets dispersed, but if you have 20-something players and you make the round of 16 and you're getting $15 million, you're getting $600-700K this summer for performing in the World Cup.
Mbappe's like, look, I'm taking 15 off the top.
I mean, that's the thing. To him, what does it all matter? LeBron James, Alan. LeBron James. He has not yet made his intentions clear. He was asked about it today at Fanatics Fest in New York City on a panel with Tyrese Halliburton. He would not commit to where he will land. Shams, though, does have the latest on the Pat McAfee show from today.
But as far as LeBron James, I don't know if I'm waiting on bated breath right now or this week, potentially. You know, LeBron's got a string of events. He's got Fanatics Fest today. He's got some CNBC stuff. He's got Time 100. He's got multiple different podcast tapings and all this stuff. I don't know if I'm holding my breath for an announcement this week. But I think as we get into next week, I do think this process is getting closer and closer to the end here. LeBron James has all the information that he needs to make a decision. All the GMs, the owners, the presidents, they've all made their pitch through Rich Paul's agent. They've even sent Pat, interestingly enough, LeBron has had multiple different owners and GMs, about three to five, that have sent voice memos to him via Rich Paul. So they'll send it to Rich Paul and then he'll send it to LeBron James. And so we're looking at a group of teams, the Cavs, the Heat, the Warriors, the Sixers, and the Timberwolves. But my feel, when I talk to teams around the league, when I really dig a little bit more on this situation, the focus is really on the top contending teams for this, being the Cavaliers, the Heat, and the 76ers. And so now it's just up to LeBron James to make a decision.
What do you make of that?
I make nothing of it because it's the same thing for the last week.
Correct.
I really make nothing of it. Actually, for a second there, I was saying to myself, I'm like, did I get the right clip here? Like,
it sounded like the one from yesterday.
It sounded like the one I played when you and I were both on vacation. We were
pretty sure that
shows.
was the same as yesterday's clip.
Either way, this is very, very similar. The messaging has been, very, very similar. And the only thing that's really changed, I saw this. Let's see if I still have it popped up. Adam Silver had said something. I'm gonna see if I could find this real quick, but no, this is today's. The one that you just heard, it's today's.
Sounds like yesterday's.
This is literally today's. It's coming from a few hours ago.
Time is a flat circle.
Adam Silver had said something. He said, where LeBron plays will affect the schedule. I'd like him to make his announcement already so we can finish the schedule. That was coming from CNBC Sports. Adam Silver was, I think, on some panel that they had going on with, I don't know where this is. Maybe this is all part of Fanatics as well. Or Game Plan 26. So whatever conference that they're a part of, you got Adam Silver basically saying now, make a freaking decision so we can move on.
What if LeBron is waiting because he wants to see the schedule and he's going to pick one of the 18 teams not playing on Christmas Day? Or one of the 20 teams if there's 5 games and he's played on every Christmas Day in his entire career. What about this? So they officially introduced Giannis today. It took all this time to officially
Does he not care
introduce
that
him.
he's annoying?
Giannis is annoying or LeBron?
LeBron.
I don't think he cares at all.
I don't think he cares at all.
But listen to this. Giannis is introduced. You've got Pat Riley on stage overseeing the Heat organization and saying this today.
Yeah, we landed the plane. Now there's another one we have to land, but
now there's another one we have to land. Why would he say that? Honestly, I don't think that's some marketing ploy.
No, and it's Pat Riley. Like I think there's certain people. You had this point when we were prepping. You're like, look, Pat Riley says something.
Listen to it.
You take it differently.
I completely take it differently when I hear that. I really do. As in, they are in serious conversations to land LeBron James based on that. Doesn't mean they will. That's what I take away from that.
You don't think he's talking about DeMar DeRozan?
Right. I don't think so. Would you agree, though? That for him to say that?
All right. The place, and I know we've done this exercise a couple different times, where you want him to, I hate giving this thing oxygen. I really do.
No, don't.
Where you want him to land most is where?
That's a really good question.
Mine's Philly. I want him to go to Philly.
I like the through lines of both Miami and Cleveland because of his previous times in both. And I think it's really fascinating.
Okay, so that's where you want him. Now, where do you think he's going to land?
I think Miami. I now think Miami.
Because of Pat Riley?
I believe Miami. I really do.
Where you want him to land, where you think he's going to land, Brent?
Philly, and I still think Philly.
Okay, so you like that. You like that. It would be a cool starting 5.
The one thing that Miami can offer that the other teams can't is 1, Riles, and 2, no taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And for the amount of money he's going to make,
care.
You would think so, but rich people care about that stuff. That's why people always sign to Miami, even though they'll have bad teams.
LeBron has money, right, Alan?
And everybody's talking now.
About where he's
now. There's Donovan Mitchell.
Where do you want him to land?
Don Mitchell says, it's home. We've done it once. Let's do it again. Simple as that.
Where do you want him? In Philly? You said?
I want him in Philly.
Do you think it's best for the league if he's in Philadelphia?
Yeah. I think that's a solid spot for him. Philadelphia, and you get the matchups going up against the Knicks. You get the matchups going up against the Cavs. You get the matchups going up against Miami. You get the matchup going up against Boston.
Okay. All right.
I think the Eastern Conference, in a weird way, I think the West is very top heavy, and then there are a lot of teams in a similar space. I think the East, maybe not as top heavy, but a very kind of balanced 4 or 5 teams.
Just announce Clippers already because we know that's where he's going.
That's where he's going.
All right. Bob Nightingale from USA Today on the Padres at the deadline, the upcoming labor negotiations, and more. Bob Nightingale joins us next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Valley View Casino and Hotel. The Padres are off for one more day. They'll finally get back at it tomorrow night when they start a weekend series at Kansas City to face the Royals. In other baseball news, the league announced today that the 2027 All-Star Game and Home Run Derby will be held at Wrigley Field in Chicago. You can hear the final of the World Cup right here on San Diego Sports 760 this Sunday. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. Be the 3C's MVP this month at Valley View Casino and Hotel. On July 31st, one lucky winner will score cash, and more cash, or a spin for $100,000 during the 3C's giveaway, only at San Diego's favorite casino.
All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. If you missed our conversation with Pete Grathoff, he covers the Royals for the Kansas City Star. You'll hear it at 5:30, but great to connect with Bob Nightingale at the USA Today. Second half about to get underway for the Padres. Everyone's been talking about it, Bob. Are they buyers or sellers or somewhere in between?
I think a little bit wait and see. They could be trying to thread the needle here. You trade Mason Miller, but still get pieces for him. And they need starters. If they don't get any starters, they're not going anywhere. I think it'd be tough for, you get the new owners coming in, that should become official here pretty soon. And then not to miss, to miss the playoffs after being the playoffs for so many years sure would be tough. So I don't see them punting unless it's just a really bad 2 weeks here.
Bob, how much of that has to do with just where the NL is? I mean, look, we certainly got the teams that we feel like got a legitimate chance at a World Series or getting to the World Series, but a lot of teams in the mix. What teams do you trust here? What teams do you have less confidence in? And does that have part of the reason to do why the Padres would say to themselves, no, we're not selling?
Well, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you still got the Dodgers, of course, in the way. You got Philadelphia, you got Atlanta. It's different than American League. American League, you get in, you got a chance to go all the way just because it's so much weaker. With the Padres, I think they got to be realistic. Like, okay, we need some pitching. If we don't get some starters here, really what difference does it make? Like last year, for instance, they made the playoffs, but didn't have a single home game, went to Chicago and get beat. So it's almost like, you didn't make the playoffs. So you almost got to beef up enough to at least convince yourself, hey, we can at least get the NLCS and give ourselves a chance rather than just getting in and being bounced out, without a home game. What difference does it make?
Bob Nightingale, USA Today, with us right now. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Of course, the Padres get back underway tomorrow in Kansas City. You mentioned Mason Miller earlier. Obviously, last year it took a lot for Preller to pry him away from the A's. What would a return look like now, a year later, after the Padres gave up Leo DeVries a year ago?
Well, they want to get that same kind of package back. They really want it. Nothing against Miller. He's pitched very well. But, they gave up a big package. And, as it's shown this year, if you're not winning, it's a waste of talent. It just rots away in the bullpen when you're pitching, once every 7 or 8 days or, twice in 2 weeks or something like that. So, but I don't think they would get the same return. There's just too many relievers out there, that sort of thing. So, probably a bigger return if they wanted to in the off season than now.
Bob Nightingale joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa Show. Bob, you had put out a tweet a little bit earlier today, and I know this was part of the conversation around MLB baseball. The schedule for the 2027 season has come out. We know that it's going to be the earliest in MLB history. Opening day will be on March 25th. As we sit here today, how do you feel just where owners and players are? It sounds like the union's on a completely different page. And I'm not sure how much of this is just positioning early on or trying to get fans to come join owners about why Major League Baseball is better with a salary cap. As you sit here today and kind of watching from afar, what do you how do you assess the situation? Let's put it that way.
Well, it's just so early, nothing's going to happen until, crunch time, November, early December. They can do the you can do the lockout December 1st. So, as long as you get it done before spring training, it really doesn't matter. I mean, even in 2021, it was 99-day lockout. Spring training was short, but still was able to get one season games in. So I don't think anybody, expects anything to happen miraculously before December 1st. And realistically, it's probably going to take a missed paycheck or two to kind of get people's attention to say, okay, what will it take to, get this done? Will the players buckle and finally give into a salary cap, or will they stay strong and the owners say, you know what, let's try something else?
Bob, from your perspective, what's the number one change you'd like to see coming into next season? If these negotiations continue and all the different things are on the table, what do you think for the health of Major League Baseball, for the sport, kind of taking everything into account? What do you think is the number one thing that needs to change?
I need the small market teams to spend. Don't just put the money in your bank account. I'm not saying you had to be the Padres when they had to do cash calls, and I think they lost over $200 million a couple of years ago. I'm not saying to do that, but you don't have to turn a massive profit either. Spend. I would love to see the floor being about $150 million just to force teams to spend, and that's what drives the big market clubs crazy. Like the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox. It's like, hey, we're giving you guys all this money, spend it. Don't just put in your bank account and become a richer owner. So that's the trouble. And hey, we saw with the last proposal, the owner said we'll share all of our TV money, meaning and the Dodger TV money will be the same as the Padres, but they'll only do that if there's a leisure tax.
Good perspective from Bob Nightingale, USA Today, with us right now. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Speaking of the upcoming CBA negotiation, does that impact the overall trade market over the next couple of weeks? As in, what impact does the question marks hanging over baseball have on what's going to play out over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, the only thing it does is, like, if you have a young talented prospect, you're probably not going to trade him unless you really had to, because they're going to be so valuable. Say there is a salary cap or something close to it, those guys will be more valuable than ever, not the big expensive guys who are older. So I think that'd be the only thing, is just to make sure that you keep your prize young guys who you think will become studs, because they'll be more valuable than ever if there's a cap.
Bob, I'm curious, as we look at just the rest of Major League Baseball, you look at some of these teams. We'll stay specifically in the National League. You got about 5-6 teams that could be vying for a wild card spot. Let's just assume Philadelphia handles business. Let's assume Chicago is a team to kind of reckon with there. What do you think of the Padres' chances for one more or one additional wild card spot left? And I know you mentioned this. Well, what good did it do them last year to go to Chicago, losing 3 games? They go all in at the trade deadline and nothing really cashes out for them. How realistic do you think it is with the roster that they have right now? Let's say there aren't major changes made by the trade deadline, that they can lock up that final spot.
I don't see them locking up that spot unless they go at least get one more starter. I just don't think they have the rotation to do so. But, with their talents and how big that payroll is and how many big stars, to be honest, it'd be pretty embarrassing not to make the playoffs, when you're only bidding out teams like Arizona, St. Louis, and, Miami, those sort of things. I think it'd be very interesting if they don't make the playoffs, what they do during the winter, because that'd be a tough blow. I mean, that'd be one of the most disappointing seasons in Padre history.
There's been a few of them here recently, obviously, including 2023. But yeah, the expectations obviously are to make the postseason in San Diego. Do you have any feel, Bob? My final question on here on Schaefer and Sleep was, do you have a feel for how future ownership plans to handle the club? Jose Feliciano, his wife, Kwanzaa Jones. Do you have any feel for the way they want to run the club once they do assume ownership?
No, I mean, you figure they, we'll be a little flexible with the payroll. I think they'll give a little more freedom. I mean, obviously, the Padres put themselves in a bad position with all those massive contracts, and those are backloaded too. So I think they'll be smart about it and say, you can get some flexibility here, but you're not signing a guy to an $500 million contract or something like that, or $300 million contract. So do things smart. it'll be interesting. But I don't see any changes. I mean, they're not going to change their front office. They'll let Preller decide, what to do with the coaching staff and stuff, whether they, stay or go. But yeah, I think more hands. I think more hands off. It's not like they're really baseball people, baseball background. I think they, look to see, okay, we'll let the baseball people make the baseball decisions.
Bob, final one for me as well. And as always, we appreciate your time out here in San Diego. How do you think AJ Preller is perceived around the league? And, from his perspective, let's just say the Padres went in a different direction in a year or 2 years or something like that. Is he considered one of the more upper echelon presidents or GMs of baseball operations around the league? How do you think he's perceived?
Well, just certainly a wheeler dealer, not afraid to, they love the fact he's aggressive. He's not afraid to make a mistake, not afraid to say, okay, I'm going to hang on to my prospects and not make a move. So very well respected that way. Probably in the downside marks is, okay, do you really have to give up that contract to Xander Bogaerts? Do you have to jump in and give the extension to Manny Machado? Just some of the big moves they made were awfully expensive. So, but no, probably more positive grades than negative for sure, just because of his aggressiveness and the fact he's willing to take that gamble where too many GMs executives are afraid to make a mistake and be criticized for it when he's not.
Big couple of weeks coming up for Preller and the Padres. Second half getting underway tomorrow. And Bob Nightingale with USA Today. We appreciate you taking time for us today in San Diego, Bob.
All right, my pleasure. Take care, guys.
Thank you, man.
All right, great stuff there. All right. Also, if you missed it earlier, again, coming up at 5:30, our conversation with Pete Grathoff. He covers the Royals for the Kansas City Star. Of course, the Padres and Royals will start their second halves against each other beginning tomorrow night. But on the other side, anything to be learned from this year's Home Run Derby on Netflix? We'll discuss that coming up next here until 6 p.m. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. All right. Schaefer and Sliwa. Kevin Acey just published a piece
Little
on
Dikembe on you.
Yeah, I thought you had something to read for our listeners. Kevin Acey just published a piece on the upcoming trade deadline that we will get into coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Do you have any reaction to the home run derby ratings being their lowest since 2003, despite it being an incredibly entertaining home run derby?
Not at all.
Is it because solely it went to streaming?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That has a lot to do with it. Sure. That has a lot to do with it. And you and I weren't excited about the event. I mean, you and I were talking about before the home run derby. It's like, yeah, it's not the way it used to be. I don't think there was that much hype behind it. What's going to change in a home run derby? Like, nothing's going to change. You're not going to see something different. It's not like
something you've never seen.
Yeah. Guys are going to hit freaking jacks. The only difference this year is what they take out the clock or whatever the case is. So I guess I'm not shocked by it, but definitely the streaming has something to do with it. And it actually ended up being an unbelievable home run derby.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of those, it's like the buzz starts and then people go back and see it, or they watch it online, or they just see the final round between the two. And I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I think they said that it's still had over 5 million. Like, it had over 5 million viewers, and they said that the viewership was way younger.
Mm-hmm.
Nice shot. Was way younger than it typically has been on ESPN, but that makes sense because it was on Netflix. I'm with you. It's like, I think I'm jaded by a lot of the events that surround All-Star games.
How so? What do you mean?
Just that I've seen it so much. I think if I was 11, I'd love it. Like, if I was 11 years of age and the All-Star game was at Petco Park, I would be kicking and screaming to go to the home run derby and the All-Star game. But as someone in my 40s that has seen it and watched it, and to your point, like, what are you going to see that you haven't seen previously? And we did. We saw an incredible ending. Jordan Walker had
awesome.
6 consecutive home runs to win over Kyle Schwarber. But I do wonder also, like, does it broadly appeal? I'm almost fascinated that Netflix had such an interest in acquiring it. Like, hey, we're an events company and we have like Christmas Day NFL, and we also want MLB's home run derby. Do they go hand in hand to you?
Maybe they're pushed just to kind of get in, see what it looks like. They have some play money.
Maybe,
see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And get everybody to come here. Are they promoting other things while they have you there?
Yep.
Maybe not the most expensive venture.
True. Good point. I hadn't thought of that.
So I get it. Again, but I go back to it. Are there any events that are going on right now that are exhibition that are really pulling people in?
Exhibition.
I feel like that is just becoming more and more of this. This used to be cool at one point. It's not cool anymore. They do it just to do it, but they're not doing it because it's flourishing.
Right. Like Pro Bowl, which they finally got rid of. Preseason football.
All people do is complain about the NBA All-Star game and the weekend and everything else. Like, they're doing these because they've done them in the past, and they're trying to stretch an event as long as they can. They're not doing them because this is just a great product and everybody's screaming for it. That's not why they're doing it.
Yeah, it's like, what else are you going to do? Like, you've done it for 30 years. What are you going to have, a pitch off? Like, they've kind of thought of everything, so to speak. They have a futures game.
Yeah.
They have a celebrity game.
Yeah, listen, they're going to continue doing it, but I just don't think anybody's looking at it and saying this is must watch TV.
I agree. Brent, did you have a thought?
It's not hurting anybody.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. And listen, would I love to see another All-Star game in San Diego? I would. I do. I like the overall
I agree with that.
All-Star week, especially when it's in your city, right? I mean, it was here just 10 years ago.
It would change too if Tatis is in the home run derby.
You think that'll ever happen? Seriously.
Just let me go back here for a second. Our level of interest would change completely.
But that I would be interested even if you're saying anywhere. Like next year at Wrigley Field, I'm in if Tatis is in it.
Yeah, I think the San Diego piece is one element, but to have more representation of the Padres, we'd be more interested.
That too, yeah.
And you could have had probably other fan bases. Philly could have been interested, not just because it was in Philly, but because they also got ballers everywhere.
Yep,
right? The Padres had one player represented in the All-Star game, and it was a closer that came in for
4
for
pitches.
1 out.
Yeah,
right?
Through 4 fastballs.
So I think that also has to do with maybe our lack of level of interest. There just wasn't enough intrigue as well from or representation from the Padres.
But back to the question at hand on Tatis, who is going to be 28 next year. I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Will he ever appear in a home run derby? Like if you were a betting man or if you had a crystal ball.
No, right?
Who was the fastest in the history of baseball to 100 homers and 100 steals? Fastest in the history of baseball.
Shaking his head. It's like that.
I say no. He's going to struggle to hit 20 home runs this year. Do you think he's going to go into the Derby then and embarrass himself and hit 5 homers?
Because he can't hit for power?
I mean, he hasn't hit for power.
Who was it? Was it Chaz Chisholm a couple years ago that did awful and he hit 3 home runs or something like that?
That's happened before.
I don't think Tatis is going to do that. It'd be one thing if he's still hitting 25, 30 dingers a year, but he's not doing that anymore.
Yeah, but I'd much rather see Machado in there before Tatis.
How many did he hit last year, home runs?
25,
He hit 25 last year.
25.
But no, it's a fair point. He's only hit more than 25 once.
Was that the year he hit 40?
42 home run season back in whatever that was,
21 or something like that.
So, okay, so we may not.
I'd be surprised at this point. I mean, the Tatis conversation made a lot more sense 3 years ago. It doesn't make sense today.
It's just insane what I thought of this player when he broke through to what I think of this player today. That's just the flat, honest truth. 5 home runs. I had Kevin with me last night. He's like, hey, if he gets to 10, that's impressive. Because that means 5 in his last 66 games. I'm like, what? That's what I'm thinking to myself. I didn't say it. I'm like, 10 is impressive. No, impressive is go put together a 66-game stretch where you look like a top 15 slugger. That's impressive to me. But now we're not willing to even look at that as a possibility.
You said something maybe a couple weeks ago. I forget when it was. I think it was when the Padres were struggling. But it was something to the effect of we keep lowering the bar. Mm-hmm. And everything is being lowered.
Everything, dude.
It's being lowered from the win total. It's being lowered by, if we had this conversation 2 months ago, we're not having the conversation about grabbing that last wild card spot. Right. Now it's like, man, can you imagine if they were just in a much better position to grab that last wild card spot? Players you're lowering your expectations for. You've lowered your expectations for Tatis, for Machado, Jackson Merrill.
Yeah.
You said that.
And I still feel that way. It's like we're in this new world where when they're just good and we're like, oh, that's great. Like, hey, look at what Tati's done over the last month. Fernando Tatis Jr. is a 1 WAR player this year. He had a 6.1 WAR last year. He's at 1. Jackson Merrill's at 0.5. And I'm sitting here every day being like, hey, Tati's been good, man. Has he? Has he been good? Considering what's on his plate, what's being asked of him, has he actually been good?
It's like the parent with their kids. It's like the kid screws up all the time, and then the moment the kid does something good, that all of a sudden raises the bar. But the other kid has just continued to be good and isn't getting as much praise as lowers your bar.
Yes.
You lowered your expectations.
What are they going to do here, folks? Kevin Acey's been writing about it. Are they going to buy? Are they going to sell?
Yeah, just to give you an idea of his article, many possible paths for the Padres at the trade deadline. Here's why they could buy, sell, or stand pat. He gave a record of what he thinks might be the bar to get into the postseason. And if it's going off of that number, Padres aren't getting in the postseason.
We'll get into that on the other side. What is the right thing for the Padres to do at this year's trade deadline? Plus, if you missed it earlier, our conversation with Pete Gradhoff. He covers the Royals for the Kansas City Star. Padres and Royals kicking off the second half tomorrow night in Kansas City. Final hour of Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app is next.
This report is sponsored by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Padres have one more off day before they get the second half of their season started. They'll be on the road for a weekend series in Kansas City to face the Royals starting tomorrow. In other baseball news, the league announced today that the 2027 All-Star Game will be at Wrigley Field in Chicago. You can hear the final of the World Cup right here on San Diego Sports 760 this Sunday. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. Choosing the right home service company isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about trusting who's in your home. That's why homeowners count on Anderson for friendly professional service that keeps everything running right. Visit AndersonPHA.com.
It's Schaefer and Sliwa. Sean Schaefer and San Diego's own Alan Sliwa. Here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, final hour here on San Diego Sports 760 for Schaefer and Sliwa. You'll hear from Pete Grathoff, Kansas City Star, on the Royals and the Padres coming up at 5:30 as we eagerly await, Alan, the start of the second half of the baseball
ready,
season.
man.
Ready. Are you ready? You look ready.
Yeah, it's nothing like just having the ability to throw a game on.
Yes,
Get the
every
game
day.
on.
Take it for granted, right?
As much as I complain about baseball having too many games, they have too many games.
Right.
It's so nice having a game on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But you know what people find interesting this time of year? It's like basketball. It's like you see it in the way you cover the sport. People like NBA free agency often as much as they like the NBA.
Yeah,
They like the hype and the speculation. People like Major League Baseball's trade deadline as much as they actually like the games, in my opinion. That there's that much intrigue with the deadline that it almost supersedes the importance of like watching your team.
When would be the right time to start talking about Major League Baseball trade deadline? Because we've probably been hitting on it for 30 days.
Early. Yeah, we've hit on it too early.
Well, it's not just us. I think if you're in a baseball market and you're looking at your team, and I think the Padres especially because they're in such a middle ground.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about that's kind of one of the worst places to be. It's premature, but I still think it's an interesting conversation.
I agree, especially now. Coming out of the All-Star break, it's definitely appropriate. So Kevin's writing about it. Are they buying? Are they selling? Are they standing pat? An argument for all of those possibilities. What do you find most interesting here with the deadline a couple of weeks out?
I think the fact that he mentions the Maury Hone one, not a complete shocker or surprise.
What, that he could move?
That he can move.
Yeah.
Mason Miller, we've had the conversation.
Sure.
Michael King's an interesting one. You know, Michael King, I mean, you want to talk about punting on a season. Go trade away Michael King.
Right. Your only starter that's done anything?
I mean, what did they say? Quality starts. See if I could find this, but there was just a certain number of quality starts over this handful of games, and all of them came from Michael King.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So that one is a little bit surprising there, shocking, and I think that's your indication. If you shopped Michael King, who can be a huge difference maker for a playoff team, but if Michael King was who you shopped, then you obviously punted on the season. That's it. There's I don't really think there's another piece. There's another piece here that's interesting. What were you going to say?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, what about the idea that we have even tossed around? Can you attach Xander Bogaerts to a player and move him? Now, he has a no trade clause, and he's owed over $200 million. But Kevin went down that hypothetical with Bogaerts.
He said one question being kicked around at Petco Park is whether moving Miller as part of a package that includes Xander Bogaerts is a proposition too beneficial to pass up. It is practically a foregone conclusion that the Padres will eventually find a way to get out from under a portion of the $25 million they owe their underperforming 33-year-old shortstop each of the next 7 seasons. That, I got to be honest with you, is of interest.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because I think one of the things that is so difficult to swallow about the Padres, you can look past this season and you start saying to yourself, how do you put together a contender with some of these contracts? How do you put together a team that you can truly build around and find a foundation when you have that many bad contracts? And Xander is obviously a great example of that. But are you going to have to shop around Mason Miller to get rid of a Xander Bogaerts contract?
Think about what we're saying there. Like, let's go down that path. Most Padres fans would welcome the idea of Bogaerts being gone, okay? Especially if the Padres aren't paying a lot of the money, correct? If you could get out from underneath the money, wipe your hands clean of it, people would celebrate that, right? By and large.
Yeah.
That's what we're led to believe. But what we're basically saying is this. You traded your top prospect in Leo DeVries, arguably the top position prospect in the sport when you did it, for Mason Miller, who you're now sending off to get out from underneath Xander Bogaerts. You're left with what? No DeVries, no Miller, and money. Yeah, you will have, in that hypothetical, you have money. But here's the other thing.
You don't have money. You just paid off a credit card.
Well, you get the Bogaerts money, I guess.
I know, but I'm saying that like it's just like you're almost, we said this joking around a couple weeks ago. It's like you're filing for Chapter 11. It's like your way of we just want to we want to wash our hands.
Also, is there a team like let's use our heads
I think
here.
there are teams.
They're not going to take all the Bogaerts money.
Maybe they don't take all of it, but is there a team that says, I get Mason Miller and I get him under control for 3 years? You know how much revenue I make here? I will scratch the check for that. Like, I think for some teams, some franchises, not all markets are created equal. It's easier to cut a check than what kind of draft or what kind of youngsters do I have to give back in return.
Fair. He's owed a lot of money.
He's owed a lot of money.
Now, maybe you're eating eating some of it, but can you imagine if your return is just, your return is getting rid of Xander Bogaerts?
It's a great way of putting it.
The other way, like what they did was the return for Mason Miller a moment ago with the A's.
That's a massive
was the
thing,
A's got the best player in the sport, arguably. We don't know. But now what we're saying is the return for Mason Miller is a check, is what we're saying. Are people okay with that? Do we understand what that represents and signifies? Honestly, what it probably signifies is you're beginning a rebuild. Because now you're just getting out from underneath.
I agree with you.
And now you have money to spend.
Okay, let's take out the fandom of it.
What's the right thing to do?
What's the right thing to do? Looking at some of the AC's article here, he talks about how that the target being tossed around right now to get in the NL, get into the playoffs, is around 87 wins.
Okay.
And he said, in order to get to 87 wins, if you're the San Diego Padres, you got to go 39-27 the rest of the way to get there. You have to be 12 games over 500 in this last handful stretch of games. And then his next sentence immediately below that is, by the way, they rank last in MLB in runs per game and 27th in starting pitching, in starting pitcher ERA. Probably not the recipe to get to 12 games over 500. I was more optimistic before Kevin gave me facts.
I mean, remember they were 19-9.
Yeah.
And they're 10 games under since. So now what we're saying is, can they completely turn the tides of their season? But Kevin wrote it, and I was right. They're 30-16 against teams under 500, which is what he told me last night.
And they got something
there. 40 games. I think he said 2/3 of their games are against teams that are 2 games over or below.
And we don't know. Maybe that number is 85 to get in the postseason.
Exactly. What if it's 85?
It was 83 last year.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So it's not like
moving target.
Yeah, it's a moving target.
And the whole 39-27 thing, dude, if you go 1-2 against Kansas City, it looks worse. If you go 2-1, it's always moving. Every day, the math is different.
You know what also moves?
What's that?
Fangraphs.
Yeah, what
do you think Fangraphs has it today?
I look all the time. 10,
postseason
11,
chances.
10, 11, 12%.
11.4.
Okay. Yep. It's not great. Would you get on a plane with an 11% chance of landing? That's what we say. I don't get on planes, hopefully, with 90% chances of landing.
That 11.4% chance of making the postseason puts them behind 9 other NL teams.
Goes back to your article from earlier at ESPN about the tiers.
Yeah.
And the Padres are in the 5th tier of teams.
Well, I'm going to,
so what do you think is the right thing to do? Based on all of this information, you think they should?
I think they should.
I
think they should be in the market to try to find a starting pitcher. And I think that they're close enough to a wild card spot that they don't have to go crazy. They don't have to do anything drastic. I hold on to Mason Miller for 1 more year. I think I think at any point you could hit that reset button.
True.
So I think that even if it's not at this trade deadline, you can do it in the offseason. You could wait to see what happens in 2027. Like, you kind of can hit that reset. Mason Miller's still on your team once you get to the offseason. So, Yeah, I'm trying to see if they're hovering right around 500. I don't think any of these other teams in front of them are these complete locks to get into obviously get into are going to lock up one of those wild card spots. I try to see if I can get into the mix here and now going off a lot of these stats and just kind of seeing a lot of these numbers, it definitely it discourages me.
Well, it's like this is what we do for a living. I'll spend an entire week being critical of different parts of the Padres. I think it's completely fair. It's not out of bounds. The starting ERA is awful. The offense has been terrible. I'll do that. And then I will absolutely make the case that, yeah, but you know what? You're 3 games out of a playoff spot. And we're not asking them to go trade Ethan Salas and Cash Mayfield and go get Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of that.
Give me a try. Just give me a college try. See if this iteration that you have right now, this core, can play better than they've played. If it works out, it works.
See if you get a little healthy.
Yeah, because if it doesn't work out, I like what you said about that. Like you can always tear it down. What's going to change? I mean, could you get more right now for Mason Miller than you would get in a year for Mason Miller? Shoot, you just heard Bob Nightingale. He said no. So they might get more for Mason Miller in the offseason than they get for him at the trade deadline. So maybe you can wait it off based on that theory.
Yeah, I think that if that front office is not having a conversation about tearing it down, they're not doing their job. But I don't think they have to have it today.
Right. They don't have to tear it down right now.
They have to tear it down right now. There'll come a time. Maybe some people will argue that it's today. And I'm not going to sit here and blame people for doing that. But you also got too many contracts, too many players, too many guys that you're in kind of this win now mode. I can wait through this season to see, all right, was this it? You know, if they stand pat, or maybe they just make a small tweak here and there and they end up 5 games, 7 games out of a wild card spot, I think we have our answer of what the future of the San Diego Padres are and what it should be.
It's crazy because unlike most of these sports, man, like tomorrow it literally changes. Oh, they're 2.5 out of a wild card. Oh, they're 4.5 out of a wild card. Oh, that's interesting. Day after, oh, they're 5.5 out. Oh, they're 1.5 out.
You can win 4 in a row and also not move ground because you have so many teams in front of you too.
But the last 2 against Toronto, they win those 2 games. They go from 5.5 out to 3.5 out because Miami was swept the final weekend before the All-Star break. So I guess it's a long way of saying we'll see.
You get Miami 6 times, I think, before the season ends.
You get Colorado a ton. You get San Francisco a ton.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of games against bad teams. Can they capitalize and then make a run to that 6th spot is the question. All right, coming up this
good article,
hour,
by the way.
Very
AC,
good article from
article.
Kevin. He'll join us, by the way, tomorrow from Kansas City. Pete Gradhoff, Kansas City Star, will join us coming up at 5:30. We'll turn our attention back to the NBA and its free agency and the pursuit of LeBron James. On the other side, here until 6 p.m. on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, with the iHeartRadio app, you can stream us wherever you are, 24 hours a day. Just search for San Diego Sports 760 to stream us live all day, every day. You can leave your comments for us using the talkback microphone. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want us to talk about. Make us a preset so we pop up each time you open up the app. San Diego Sports 760, always live on the iHeartRadio app.
That's on cue, Alan, because speaking of the talkback mic, we asked earlier, do you still have faith, Padres fans, as the second half is about to get underway? Let's hear from our talkback mic.
Hey, guys, I'm definitely going to keep the faith in the Padres. I'm an optimist. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I'm thinking that we get the pitching back. You know, we can get Pivetta back and get Joe Musgrove back, and the hitters have started to come alive, so I'm feeling pretty good about the hitters. And I think we needed the All-Star break just to refocus. And I think they're going to end up doing good and getting in one of those wild card spots. And from there, you never know. Thanks, fellas.
And that was Tim from La Mesa.
Good stuff, Tim.
Winner. We don't even need a drum roll. He is the winner of a 4-pack of tickets, Alan, to see ZZ Top August 4th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. He has the faith.
Yeah, listen, I think that's all SD is asking for, right? They want a competitive, like he said, just get into the dance and see what happens. And the last thing you want, if you're Petco Park and you're the San Diego Padres, these games don't mean anything by mid-August.
Mm-hmm.
September 1st, you're rolling around and go see what that scene would look like. And the Padres have been really, really competitive. You and I can talk about how we've kind of lowered the bar for some of these players, this, that. The franchise has raised the bar of what expectations are, which is why there is more of a frustration. Why aren't they doing this? You know, so more emotion around it. So I think it's a fair call from Tim, and let's see what happens.
And Bob Nightingale earlier today with us said, imagine the disappointment. He said it would be among the most disappointing seasons in Padres history if they didn't make the postseason. I think that's maybe a bridge far,
I think
considering
so too.
we lived through 2023. In 2021, they were 18 over in the second half, 61-43, something like that. So it would be disappointing. I don't know about the most disappointing. Today at Fanatics Fest in New York City, LeBron James on a panel with Tyrese Halliburton. And there were some actually really fun moments that came out of that. Of course, we don't know his future landing spot. But did you hear that Halliburton texted him even before he was officially a free agent? He's like, yo, dude, we could do big things. And all he wrote back was 2 laughing emoji faces. LeBron wrote back to Halliburton.
2 crying face emojis.
2 crying face emojis.
Let's pause here for a second. They could have been a Tyrese Halliburton injury away in Game 7 of the finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder of actually winning an NBA championship in Indiana. I think the laughing emoji goes to like the Sacramento Kings. Like, give me other franchises that it goes to.
I think he's saying like, bro, I ain't going there. For whatever reason. I think that's basically what he's saying.
I know what he's saying. I guess my point is that I got more respect for Halliburton.
No doubt.
And what he did in Indiana and what he's done in Indiana. I mean, literally, like they were, if he doesn't get injured, I think they'd probably beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 7. There was a lot of pressure on the Thunder. It didn't happen that way. So I think it's safe to say he's not going to Indiana.
I think it is safe to say that as well. I am excited, by the way, to see Tyrese Halliburton back on the floor, hopefully, in the NBA. But it was interesting because, I mean, he was asked 6-8 different ways, Tyrese Halliburton and fans today, about his future. And he was able to maneuver his way through it.
You put your money on today or tomorrow.
I did.
So I think we're out of that.
Hold on. Have you lived to see tomorrow?
Don't you feel like if he was going to do it, he would have done it? Is this now
probably?
Is this now more of the World Cup?
Well, he's not going to announce it at halftime, is he?
No, but people are saying that he's waiting until the World Cup ends.
Imagine if he did it during the World Cup. One game, smart. 66th minute.
Wouldn't be smart.
Hey, I'm taking my talents to LA to play for the Clippers.
Now that morning, if he did it, maybe that
even that is going to be seen as like, are you serious, man?
Well, this is already, are you serious, man? I mean, Adam Silver had said this. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. There's actually a piece of it that I think is interesting. He said, I would like him to make his announcement already so he can finish the schedule, because as you might imagine, the teams are calling us. The networks are calling us. And everybody wants to lock in the schedule, but it will influence how we set the schedule, how we set opening week, Christmas Day, etc.
Wait, so
If
tongue
you're
in
a
cheek or
freaking
no?
commissioner,
Was he saying it seriously?
of course he's saying it seriously.
Yeah,
If your commissioner is coming out like, brother, free agency is not supposed to be 20 days into July. Like free agency is always wrapped up by the 10th.
Right.
Make a damn decision and let's move on. LeBron's like, just.
I know it's like it shows who holds the cards. It's like the Caitlin Clark conversation in the WNBA, but it's different because the NBA will move on without LeBron James. It will at some point in the next year or so. I don't know
Not
what
moving
the WNBA
on this year.
looks like without. No, you're right. It's like everything is at a standstill. I go back to this point. It's not to
also
be critical.
to his benefit that they're
talking about him.
Yeah, that they're trying to put the schedule out and all that stuff based off of where he lands.
I just go back to this, and I know you push back on this, but I'm just like, he's a great player, but he's not the best player in the NBA anymore. Like he might be marketed like he's the best. He might have the most attention. He's the biggest story right now in the NBA. He's not the best player in the NBA. So we're going to pretend like the day he moves, the best player in the NBA just moved, but he's not. And that's a truthful statement, is it not? He is not the best player in the NBA. He's not the second best player in the NBA. He's not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's not Victor Wembanyama. He's not Jalen Brunson. Don't you think it's fair? I hate to say it, but like you're now one of the 10 or 15 best players. You can carry a team for a series, but can you carry a team for a year?
No, but I think what it is there's also just like a tremendous amount of value to getting a player of that caliber for such,
of course,
limited resources.
Of course.
So he could, I was did a radio hit a little bit earlier. You remember Steve Hartman, of course. Hartman,
who?
Of course, up in LA. He was on
the news
570.
anchor, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know Steve Hartman? There's a news anchor, Steve Hartman.
So I had a conversation with him, and he's like, "Hey, can he still have the impact?" I'm like, "Listen, the guy can end up on a team. Yeah, he can change. He can make the Cleveland Cavaliers if he's the fourth, fifth best player on that team that's asked to play 20, 25 minutes a game, that's asked to play 50 games for the season and not 82. He can be the difference to change the whole scope of the Eastern Conference. He still has that juice. That I give him.
All right. We'll see where he lands at some point. I say tomorrow at Fanatics Fest. Alan says August 33rd.
Yes.
August 33rd, 2029. All right. On the other side, we'll get back to the Padres. They're in Kansas City opening up a series tomorrow. We're going to hear from Pete Gradhoff. He covers the Royals for the Kansas City Star. Padres get underway tomorrow night with their second half. That's next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Hey guys, it is Schaefer again for my friends at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. This is the weekend to get out there. Final weekend of World Cup watch parties at Tony Gwynn's Sports Pub, where you can catch the matches this weekend on the big screen at Tony Gwynn's. It's their World Cup watch parties. You can enjoy game day specials, great food, cold drinks, an electric atmosphere for every match. Grab your crew, experience all the action with Jamul. Make sure to check out their terrific hotel and spa, where you can experience elevated luxury with their refined hotel stay, rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, and all the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together now in one unforgettable destination, and you can take your stay to the next level. They have exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. While you're there, make sure to check out all the food and dining options like Jamul 23 with their lobster buffet every day. Enjoy all-you-can-eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place.
This report is sponsored by rockauto.com. The Padres got one more off day before they get their second half of the season started. They'll start a weekend series tomorrow at Kansas City against the Royals. In other baseball news, the league announced today that the 2027 All-Star Game will be held at Wrigley Field in Chicago. You can hear the final of the World Cup right here on San Diego Sports 760 this Sunday. Our coverage will begin at 11:30. A failed strut can turn any drive into a rough ride. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right parts easy. Shop name brands at lower prices and have the parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need, Rock Auto.
All right, Schaefer and Sliwa here on San Diego Sports 760 with you until 6 p.m. Great conversation earlier with Pete Gradhoff. He covers the Royals for the Kansas City Star. You know, we've talked so much about the Padres struggles this year. They're still 500. The Royals had expectations this year. They entered the second half 21 games under 500. We started the conversation by asking Pete, what's gone wrong?
Just about everything, really. It's been a terrible season. They made the playoffs 2 years ago, beat the Orioles in the first round, and then lost in the ALDS in 4 games to the Yankees. Last year, they finished above 500. So the expectation was that they at least should be around that mark, not be the worst team or tied with the Angels for the worst record in the American League. But they've had a lot of injuries, especially their rotation. Losing their ace, Cole Reagans, was a tough thing. But their pitching overall has been awful. They lost their closer, Carlos Estevez, who I think he led American League in saves last year. He got hurt like the first weekend of the season, and the guy that they thought could be the future closer, Lucas Erceg, has just really struggled this season. So all that pitching, and then their hitting has been a whole other problem. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. I mean, last week they scored 15 against the Phillies, then 16 against the Mets the next day, and then scored 11 runs in 5 games. The latter is more how they've been this season.
Pete, I'm curious, you're obviously watching KC's going up against all the AL teams. Just every time we hear about the American League, we talk about, or we hear about just how mediocre it is. I think you can be 5-6 games over 500 and in a solid playoff position. What is the AL to you? I mean, is it more just even all the way around? Does it kind of keep the chances of coming out of the AL wide open? Are they just very top heavy? How do you describe the American League?
I would say top heavy. It's amazing that the Royals are this bad and they're 10 games out of a wild card spot. That part of that's expanded playoffs. You have 3 wild card teams, so that's really a big part of it. But the teams that are doing really well, the Yankees and the Rays, and they're really the top 2 teams. I mean, the American League Central, the White Sox, who were just awful for years, they're clearly better this year, but they're tied with the Guardians for the division lead. And the American League West, there's nobody's really broken out in that division either. So at this point, a lot can happen. There's still 2.5 months to go, but the Yankees and Rays are clearly the best teams in the AL, and the rest are either middling or really bad.
Pete Gradhoff with us right now. He covers the Royals for the Kansas City Stars. So we talk all the time about what are the Padres going to do at the deadline, but they're in this no man's land, right? 48-48. Should they make a run for it or not? Kansas City knows who they are. Is there any balancing act going on for the Royals? It's not a full fire sale, right? They have one of the best players in the sport in Bobby Witt Jr. And like you said, as recently as last year, they were over 500. So is there any balancing act that plays out for them over the next couple of weeks?
I think so. I mean, they've got guys coming up on expiring contracts. It would be a shock if they didn't try to move. But I talked to one of their assistant GMs over the weekend, and they're really high on their core, which would be obviously Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best players. Michael Garcia, he's hurt. There's another reason why they've been struggling at third baseman, but he was the MVP of the WBC. He was a Gold Glover last year. And then you have Vinny Pasquantino, who had over 100 RBIs last year. He's not doing very well. They'll keep those guys for sure. I would think and Jack Caglione, who's young and is starting to show his power surge. He's really had a great last 6 weeks, and you saw what he can do at the home run derby. He only had 8 homers, but he had that 470-foot bomb into the upper deck in Philly. And so I think there are guys they'll trade if they can, but because I would think at this point they don't really think they're going to get back into contention, but they won't trade their core. So the Phillies the Padres aren't going to get Bobby Witt Jr.
All right, we'll get that one out of the way. That was going to be my follow-up question there, Pete. Pete, just to kind of, for San Diegans out here, Padre fans, obviously getting ready for a 3-game set in KC. When the Royals are playing their best, what are they? And when they're struggling, what does that look like? I know you talked a little bit about their runs and inconsistencies, but just again, when they're playing well, what does that look like? And when they're struggling, what does it look like?
When they're playing well, they're moving runners. They're stringing hits together. The old motto, keep the line moving. That's a big thing in Kansas City. They've got a few guys with some pop in their bat, but Salvador Perez is having a down year. He's barely above 200. He's starting to show his age a little bit. So when they're doing well, though, they're hitting the ball, they're getting a few home runs, and they're running the bases well. When they're not, they are leaving guys on, get 2 on with 1 out, and they can't score, or they'll make a dumb base running mistake and either caught stealing or picked off, and it just implodes the inning for them. And it's really interesting. Like I said, the offense can look good at times, but it's mostly been bad.
You go back, it's been a while, obviously, but Kansas City was in back-to-back World Series, and they won it, as you know better than I do, in 2015. I guess they technically be the last, quote-unquote, small market winner. If you look at the last 10 years in baseball, I think the Royals are technically the last small market winner. As we look at the impending CBA and its impact on baseball and clubs like maybe the Padres and the Royals, truthfully, even though the Padres, I think, have invested at a higher clip than most clubs in their market size. Where do the Royals, fit in this equation? What do Royals fans want to see happen moving forward, considering their legacy, their history, their run in 2014 and 2015? What's best for the Royals moving forward?
Well, from a fan perspective, I don't know what it's like in San Diego, but there seems to be a groundswell of support for the salary cap. It's weird how, and I'm not advocating one way or another, but it's weird how suddenly the owners are the ones who are getting the fan backing, at least out here, I would say. And part of that is, look at the Dodgers go out, they sign anyone they want. And the Royals, the GM just says, we know what we can do and what we can't do. And so there's certain players that are always going to be off the market for them. Now, they signed Bobby Witt Jr. to a long-term contract. Although that has an opt-out here in a few years. So money-wise, I think a cap would probably be what Kansas City fans want to see. Royals brass will never talk anything other than, hey, this is what the rules of baseball and we're following them. So I think they would like to have maybe a little more financial balance. And with that, though, Royals fans would also like to see a salary floor. There were a lot of years when they were not spending. So I think that's a good thing for baseball, as I inject my opinion. But I think fans would like to see that too.
Yeah, Pete, it's interesting because I think I share a similar sentiment, and I think we'll see how San Diegans feel about it. But I think there is a piece of, there's got to be some kind of guardrails, and I'm okay with that. If you told me that the bottom of the league has to come up as well, and there's kind of a happy medium here, and everybody's kind of working within a range, it just seems like an obvious for competitive balance purposes. But I do think it's kind of funny, like you said, the owners are looking like what are they? They're looking like saviors by saying, guys, for the love of the game, we know what the interest is from owners, and I'm not trying to pretend when I fight for a salary cap. I'm not trying to pretend that this is not obviously in benefit of owners, because they don't have to throw out $400, $500, $700 million deals anymore. And they also don't have to have potentially length of contracts that are 8, 9, 10 years. And if you go look at the San Diego Padres and their salaries that they have, there's some really bad contracts coming up here for the next handful of years.
Yeah. That's a great point. One other point that's Kansas City specific is the Royal Stadium is right next to the Chiefs Stadium, they're neighbors. And Kansas City fans just have to look at the Chiefs. Small market team. They've got the best player in the league, or one of the best in Mahomes, however you want to look at it. They've been to the Super Bowl 5 times in the last 8 years, won 3 of them. I mean, there's sustained success there. And you look at it, and you can point to the salary cap as a big reason for why that is. And so I think that you're going to get the big contracts, and a big difference between the NFL and baseball is you can get rid of a player on a big contract a lot easier than you can in baseball. You know, you don't have to pay the full contract like you do in baseball. So I think from Kansas City perspective, they look at what the Chiefs are doing, that unbelievable successes, and why can't the Royals have the same kind of hope for that? Not that they would, but hope for that if there was such a thing in baseball.
It's interesting because I think you could argue both the Padres and the Royals have had disappointing years, but the Padres somehow are at 500. But some of the things you said about the Royals are what people are saying about the Padres as well. They've had starting pitching issues. They've had injuries. Their offense has been woeful at times, yet they've kept their head above water at 48-48. Pete, we appreciate you taking time for us. We're looking forward to this weekend in Kansas City, and thanks for doing it in San Diego.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, 10-game road trip, Alan, about to get underway. If you could go to any of the 3 cities to watch the Padres this week, KC, Atlanta, Miami.
I go Atlanta.
Yeah, I'd like to see
baseball
ballpark.
Plus, it's good baseball.
Yeah, they played well.
2 solid teams.
Oh.
Yeah, I go Atlanta.
Oh, my timer's gone off.
Oh, that's good.
That's a cue for us to get to break.
That is cue right there.
Here until 6 p.m. Buster Olney had some fascinating comments on the future of Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. We'll share those with you next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Final time today. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Baseball returning tomorrow. And Kevin Acey will join us tomorrow as well. We'll have a World Cup final preview as well tomorrow, right?
Got a good guest coming on tomorrow. Has been calling a lot of these international games of the World Cup for iHeartRadio, so it'll be good to have.
So we'll be talking, of course, about the final. We'll be talking about the Padres. Buster Olney today saying the future of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is in a quote-unquote fragile state. He went on to say there's a lot of concern within the sport, and a specific reason as to why. He's quoted saying there's a lot of concern within the sport because so many players are opting out of the game. Now, it's not necessarily labeled Allen as an opt-out. There's like minor injuries behind some of this stuff. Ohtani, Mizorowski, Paul Skeens, Aaron Judge has been out. There are others. Schlittler, the starting pitcher for the Yankees, didn't appear in the game either. Is it concerning that some of the biggest names in the sport didn't appear in Philadelphia this week?
How do you think fans feel? Because I think the question that you got to ask yourself, if I felt like fans, I'll say this, I think there's a lot of disrespect from athletes to the fan bases. Like I think in the NBA, we use that as an example. The players don't want to try. They have no respect for an all-star game. Okay, it's fine. It's an exhibition game. I could be sold on it. But if the fans are saying, hey, this is not what we're signing up for. Like, we'd love to see the best players in the world actually compete in this one night, event a year. The slam dunk contest.
Okay, we don't see that.
We don't see any of the stars anymore. And it used to be respected. Michael Jordan was in it. Dominique Wilkins, Kobe Bryant. Go down the list. There's been some really, amazing players. Dwight Howard, Blake Griffin, guys that would be a highlight reel. I think that part has been lost. Like I think again, maybe I'm using too many examples in the NBA, but load management, are the players playing? I think there's been a tremendous amount of disrespect to fans. I think the All-Star game, MLB All-Star game, maybe this is what Buster Olney's kind of leaning on. It's like, hey, these players don't want to play. They don't want to be a part of it. It's supposed to be a celebration for the fans. It's supposed to be a celebration for your families. It's supposed to be an honor to be an All-Star. And I think that until fans say, well, that's enough. If you're going to disrespect me, because really at the end of the day, the people who have the most power are the fans, but the fans never use it collectively.
Because it's hard, because it's like, it's your team, it's your sport. Like at the end of the day, it's like you could be mad at your family, but it's your family. Like how often as a sports fan do you want to put your foot down against your own sport?
I'll give you an example.
How often do you want to put a brown bag on over your head?
I'll give you an
example.
Isn't
very good.
I think when needed, like I do think if there was more pressure like that, I don't think owners would act the same. I don't think players would act the same. I'm going to give you an example. Fair or not fair? You go to a game at Petco. Do you think it's right how much it costs to grab a beer?
No, but
I don't think it is either.
I get it.
What do you get?
I get that's professional sports, and I get it's a big part of their budget.
Okay. Let me say, if I would say that it's gone too far and everything has become too expensive for somebody to enjoy, a night at a game or whatever the case is. This is the power that I'm talking about. If the people wanted to and said, hey, we're picking a game in this next homestand. I don't know why I'm picking on the Padres and beer. We're not buying beer. You know what would happen?
They'd probably
have an effect. And I think I'm just using that as an example of like this all-star game where there are a lot of players that if guys were load managing, and in the NBA, this happens all the time. And people decided, hey, there's a game coming up here on the schedule. You're only going to have 5,000 fans that are there. Go see how many reporters are there reporting on that. So I think there's been a little bit of it's been I think the consumer has been taken advantage of. And the All-Star game to me is a little bit of an example. Now I'm not here. I don't care that much about All-Star games, but I think that they have been taken advantage of a little bit. And until fans kind of maybe fans don't care about whether these players play in the All-Star game or not.
Yeah, it's a hard thing because it's like, on one hand, I mean, the All-Star game is going to be in San Diego every 40 years. The All-Star game is going to be in Philadelphia every 30 years.
Yeah.
You're going. I mean, you have no choice. The tickets are $900 to watch the Home Run Derby. Yet, and there's $700 to go to the game. Buster Olney made reference to the fact that everyone's leaving the 8th inning. It was the most boring game ever. It's 4-0. What's the point of what am I staying for? Is there gonna be some big?
Could that
moment?
have just been a bad game?
I think it was just a terrible game.
A lot of people leave in a regular
regular season game.
Typical Tuesday night game where your team's down 6-1 going into the 8th.
But I guess we're at a point in sports where you're right. It's almost like they can get away with it though. It's like what's happened in college sports. It's like, we're in the bowl season. The best players are preparing for the draft. Oh, in the NBA, we have to play 65 games, but they play 82. So we'll finagle our way through the schedule. We don't, you know what? People are going to be in the front row at Intuit Dome, regardless of whether Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's playing or not. They're going to be selling these tickets for $3,000. And the same thing with the All-Star game. If Shohei Ohtani doesn't appear, 9 million people still watch on TV and people spend $700 for tickets. What's anyone going to do about it?
Yeah, I think until it hurts the bottom line.
Right.
That's when it will have an effect.
Yeah, and maybe there'll be a future conversation about it in the CBA. Like, you make an All-Star game, you appear in an All-Star game. But that's so much easier said than done.
Yeah, because you can easily say, and listen, I kind of, to an extent, I understand where teams are coming from.
Right.
Like, this started, I think, with the San Antonio Spurs with load managing. It was like, our goal is to win a championship, not to appease you in the regular season.
Right.
That's our franchise's goal. At the end of the day, we are trying to put ourselves in the best position to win a championship.
Sure.
You're going to grind 82 games into us a year. We're going to be strategic in how we use that, how we do that, right? So, yeah, I don't know if anything happens there.
I think it would be one thing if like Ohtani and The Miz didn't go because they just didn't want to go. I think it makes a difference that they didn't go because they were hurt. So, if it turns into like, I'm going to do air quotes, the Pro Bowl, since they just play flag football and dodgeball now. But if it turns into that to where, Drew, I know you're tired, but I'm just throwing it out there. Drew Brees, you made the Pro Bowl, but he doesn't want to go. So then the guy that actually goes is like the 7th best quarterback because 6 other people turned him down. And we're not at that point yet.
I kind of appreciate the NFL eventually just being like, you don't want it? Players, you don't want it. You're not going to take it seriously. I get it. Nobody wants to get hurt. We'll just get rid of it. They actually got rid of something that rated more people watch the Pro Bowl than certainly we're watching Phillies Mets in the standalone game on a Thursday night on ESPN. It's probably not very close. More people watch the Pro Bowl than round 1 of the Eastern Conference playoffs when Orlando's playing Cleveland, I'm sure. But they say, you know what? We'll just get rid of it. So, I mean, maybe that's where all these sports are. I mean, the NBA thing is so ridiculous. Every year people talk about the format.
I know.
The world, the East,
and the
West.
NBA, it's funny how much they've invested into trying to change it. It's
really
like,
have.
Is that big of a deal?
I know, they really have, dude.
They have.
You're right.
If you want to give them credit for that,
Yeah,
of
maybe.
them saying, we'll do everything we can to try to make this more entertaining.
Right.
The only thing
Hasn't
with the
worked,
NBA
right.
is, though, sometimes they change things that don't need to be changed. So, like the All-Star game
Kind of
format.
like East versus West.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with it. They didn't need to change it, but now they're just changing things just for the sake of changing
That's
it.
true.
Right. Maybe
The
baseball.
one free throw, you love the one free throw.
Is that in the All-Star game?
No, remember they were doing
What
that.
is that?
Weren't they
Summer
testing
League.
that? Yeah, they're testing that.
I don't need to see that in the NBA, though. Do you? You want to see LeBron get fouled? He takes one free throw?
No, because I think, like I said to you, you can just use that as such a strategy and foul Mitchell Robinson every time that dude touches the ball.
point,
and
dude.
you want to get in foul trouble.
They'll bring back Hack-a-Shack.
Oh, absolutely.
You want foul trouble,
Yeah.
6 minutes left to go. And now I'm just using it as an example. Now somebody can no, I don't want to see it happen.
What was that weird thing they did? The Elam ending? Remember that, dude?
The what? Say it again.
Elam ending? Where you played to a score, not to a time.
Oh, I don't mind that.
Right? You play to a score, not to a
Yeah.
time. Which I get because you're playing to win,
Mhm.
not trying to run out the clock.
Yeah.
I don't mind that either. I like that more than the one free throw idea. All right, tomorrow we're doing it again.
Doing it again.
Getting you ready for the World Cup final.
Finally get some baseball games again,
and
too.
the return of the Padres. Kevin Acey will join us tomorrow as well. If you missed anything today,
Will your boy make a decision by tomorrow?
I think Gary Trent will officially sign tomorrow. Or
I
whatever
still don't
played
know,
out with
I
that
still
story.
don't know what happened there.
They broke policy on signing Gary Trent Jr. Is that what played out? Whatever. Is that a story? I guess it's a story.
Well, it's what I kind of hinted at the other day. They're going to look into more of these, circumventing things now, and I think this is a byproduct of it.
Gary Trent will make a decision. I don't know about LeBron. All right, for Brett and Alan, I'm John. Keep it here. Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace.